It's the Center Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Yes! Yes! Yes, this is my favorite part of the game.
Analyzing all of the league matchups week to week.
You can't win!
Get him a body bag! Finish him!
It is a bit above average.
I said this sucks, and basically so do you.
And discussing the boom, bust, and hidden gem players throughout the league.
We ain't found shit!
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Laces out.
Touchdown!
And here's your host,
Allow myself to introduce myself.
David Harbatkin. Hello and welcome to the Center Fantasy Football Podcast for Week 6, Episode 6 of Season 7, whatever you want to call it. I am your host, David Harbatkin, joined by the Commissioner of the League and the Coach of the Hackettstown Hagglers, Mr. Gazalutsky.
What's going on, people?
And I'm joined by the Coach of the other Hackettstown team, Mr. Manny Friedman.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, you've got some happy coaches on this program, as we all seem to have victories this week, so we will be discussing those wins, as well as we will have our interview a little bit later with the coach of the Tillett Trade team, Mr. Jim Chavon, and of course we will go with our predictions for next week. But let's get started with this week's games. I don't know where you'd like to start. There were some close matchups. There was one very close matchup, and there was one record-setting performance. Where would you like to go first?
Well, we can go to start with the lowest matchup of.
Yeah. Sure. that was sure. There was only one game. Well, first of all, there were only 3 teams that scored under 100. So we've been talking about how, there's been weeks where there's been depressed scores, and then the weeks with huge scores. This is one of those weeks with huge scores, except for these 2 teams. Let's go with the Hackettstown Hagglers versus the Infirmary.
Infirmary.
I mean, what's happening to Wakanda is just it's unbelievable. But all right, we'll start with the Hagglers' performance. So they win 96.84 to 81.08. So Phillip Rivers with a whooping 6.14 at quarterback. That's what you want to see there. 11.80 from Larry Fitzgerald. 15.3 from the recently picked up Mohamed Sanu. 15.8 from the recently acquired Le'Veon Bell. 10.9 from Chubb. 10.7 from Ingram. 12.12 from Jordan Howard, down from his 30 the week before. 7 from Lutz and 7 from Tennessee. Doing the bare minimum to win this game. Going against the hobbled Panthers. So Andy Dalton, one of the few players that actually was not carted off the field this week, gets 22.98 points. And then, okay. And then his other player that didn't. So Disley got 12.8 at tight end, at one of the 2 tight ends. He was playing the jumbo set on Thursday night. 12.9 for Ingram, and then everybody else. So Dorsett got injured mid-game, so 0 points for him. He did play Aguilar, who got 3, which, ironically, that would have won the game for the Hagglers the week before. But no. Gallman went off with an injury with only 1.4 points. Olsen, I think he might have finished on his own power, but only had 0 points. 14 points for the kicker and 14 for the New England defense. He left 13 points from Daniel Jones on the bench and no other. Like, literally, if you go down the line, there's not a point other than that. Mostly because everybody's injured. Sammy Watkins also got injured mid-game. He didn't play him, but he still got injured mid-game. Devontae Adams was out with an injury. Barkley, we all know, is out with an injury. Deshaun Jackson out with an injury. Kareem Hunt suspended. And Drew Brees, of course, on the IR with an injury. So, yeah, I don't even know.
Well, first I'd like to say this is the Hackettstown Hagglers' finest banana peel performance I've ever. The entire bushel of banana peels was utilized this time, as this was a must-win banana peel week 5. So, sorry, Dr. Hockey, but that's the breaks. So there you go. So, yeah, we probably would have been in big trouble if it wasn't for a host of inconvenient injuries. Luckily, the kicker at New England came up big. Otherwise, this could have been an ugly day for Dr. Hockey. And surprisingly, Dalton came up big, but the rest of those injuries, Dr. Hockey, I don't know. Look like a clean play to me. Yes, not many teams we would have beat this week. But luckily, the banana peel. Actually, nobody. We wouldn't have beaten a single damn team on this list. Anglers have some work to do, but good thing we have that banana peel in our back pocket. Shit, things go awry.
I mean, what do you do if you're Dr. Hockey? I mean, like, how do you even what do you do? I mean, he's got a Thursday game also, by the way, with the Giants and the New England defense. I mean, at least that'll get it out of the way. But I mean, how do you even field the team at this point? Do you just scrap? I mean, because you're gonna have to literally be able to put players on the field. Because I don't know if Dorsett's injury is gonna be finished by Thursday. I mean, because he's got a lot of players in this Thursday game who are already hobbled and are not gonna be out. Do you just start dumping players, or do you what do you do?
I don't know. Saquon might be back, but then his spot is immediately filled up by Gallman as they just switch spots in the injury reserve, and then you're going to have to make room for Dorsett. No, I don't know what Hockey's going to do. He's going to have to drop somebody. There's going to be a lot of hungry wolves waiting for his drops.
I mean, I guess you drop Aguilar, unlike Aguilar. Drop him like one of those babies. And then, yeah, I don't know.
Wasn't it a few weeks ago when we thought that Wakanda had the best team in the league, and we thought that they were sitting pretty?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, they still have the best team, maybe roster wise, but you know, if they were not out, I don't even. I mean, I guess. I mean, do you just hold on for dear life, like hold these players, and then wait for them to heal from their injuries? And then just pray that you are at least in a position to make the playoffs at that point. I mean, like, I don't know.
I know, like his bench is definitely better than who he's starting. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, though.
If you could start what he has on the bench and put whatever he has starting on the bench, I think he would put a better result if they were all healthy, obviously.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, and that's who we would want to play. The problem is none of them can play. They physically can't.
It's crazy. It's insane.
And the thing is, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. If he were able to somehow just hold on for dear life and wait for, just wait for this wave to come crashing down, and then somehow put together a record well enough to get into the playoffs. I mean, if you look at that bench and you have a healthy version of those players, that's a team I fear in the playoffs if he can get there. The question is how close, how long can he hold on?
Well, another problem for Hockey is, we'll touch on this later, but he has, this week coming up, he has a team that just broke the league record for points. So the news just gets worse for Dr. Hockey.
Yeah, I mean, but he still has a decent record. He's, well, no, he doesn't, but he's only one game under 500. So, I mean, it's not, all is not lost. He still has probably 4 more, losses to be able to give and still be able to make the playoffs. So, I don't know.
Like, the one good news, or the 2 good news that he has is that he has the New England defense, and Kareem Hunt is coming back on week 10. That can't come fast enough.
On week 10, 4 more weeks. It's another month away from him coming back. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, what's his record going to be? I don't even know. All right, for the Hagglers, last time the Hagglers had a score this poor was against Dave's Secret Crush, and then you had a massive overhaul of the team. Are you going to do something similar? Are you going to stick with this team? What's going on? What's the thoughts over there?
I think that a lot of these players are going to end up in the garbage can. I hope Dr. Hockey learned his lesson with Aguilar. That was a peculiar move. I think that was a Gillisley attempt, maybe. I'm not sure what was going on there. The two tight ends said, I mean, I guess that's all he can play. I don't know. At least New England can't get injured, or so far as we know, right?
Yeah, I know. I have no idea.
Wow.
He definitely played Al Gore to kind of put revenge on you for giving you 0 points last week.
Yeah, that was an interesting play.
And only 14 points for the New England defense. Philly's defense put up 35. What's New England's defense doing against a crappy Washington team?
Wow.
I mean, 15 more points. If he scored, he would have won the game.
I mean, still his second highest scorer, tied with his kicker.
True. Good point. Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. But look, for the Hagglers, you got the win. You get yourself back. So at least, so you feel okay at least, though. It's not like it was a loss.
Yeah, not everybody will go into the garbage can this week. We'll see.
I mean, because last time you went into the garbage can after a close, didn't you lose the week after? Not every week could be a rebuilding week. Maybe sometimes you just go, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, let's move on to another game. I mean, we could talk about that record-setting performance if you'd like.
Sure. I want to hear.
So the previous record for points in the league, I actually looked this up and screenshotted it because I knew it was going to no longer be the case. So the most points scored prior to this was the Mighty Whalers. Scored 194.34 points in week 10 of the 2018 season against the Hackettstown Hagglers. Yeah, that record was obliterated. First of all, we've never even, I mean, over 200, we haven't sniffed over 200. I mean, that's insane. So that record was beaten by about 16 points. I don't know what happened this week. It was, I mean, I was worried, frankly, after the Thursday night game. But yeah, I guess I didn't have to be. So the 1603ers win this game 209.24. That's right, 209.
Yeah, you heard that right, folks. With a 2.
With a 2. To 133.72. So, let's go over them. So first, Russell Wilson gets 37.92 for the Lightning Rods, then 9.8 for Robert Woods. So, I mean, out of the Thursday gates, he had like 40, almost 50 points. He was looking good there. And then Diggs only got 7.4, 17.1 for Elliott, 24 points, 24.7 for Philip Lindsay, 1.8 from Ebron, 25 points from Edelman, 7 from Butker, and 3 from the Chicago defense. Actually, Chicago, they played pretty poorly there, though they started to get some points in the second half of that London game.
Good defenses don't travel well to London.
No, they don't. They
think,
really don't.
Khalil Mack overdosed on peanuts on the way there.
Yeah, well, it was like we lost, what do you call it, Melvin Gordon last year when they went to London when he was popping his banana on the flight. Anyway, McCaffrey better be okay this week. Anyway, for the 1603ers, so Lamar Jackson with a pedestrian 16.44 points. Tyler Boyd with 28.3 and only 4.3 from Golden Tate in his debut. But then 47.7 points from McCaffrey, 27.9 from Breida on Monday night, 7.9 from Waller, so also pedestrian, and 53.7 from Will Fuller, 4 from Sly, and 19 from the San Francisco defense. So this two, by the way, on the bench, DJ Moore scored 15.10 points, so this wasn't even the optimal team. Kute also scored 10. I mean, like, this could have been even worse. I don't know what to say about. my thing kept going off, another score. I'm like, what is happening here? In the morning. And then
Good problem to have.
I know. And then Monday, I mean, I just went to go see the Joker on Monday because I was like, oh, I don't really have to pay attention to this, and I left work. I just tuned into the score. I was like, wait a minute, am I going over 200? What? Because it was like 170 something. I don't know. I seem to recall in the Facebook group, a certain team put a thing of the Gladiator guy going, aren't you entertained? Or something with his score. I couldn't even find a meme that would say something to the effect of, who are you again? What is that? Oh, that's cute. What? I mean, that's not a bad score if you're in the 100. I mean, that's a cute score. I can't see it all the way up here from 209. But yeah. I don't know. Honestly, this was just a week where we caught lightning in a bottle. Ironic, no pun intended.
I wonder if this is a 1 week wonder or it's something that will continue.
I certainly hope it continues. I mean, look, we did this without our new RB2 even. I mean, this was a week I was legitimately worried about. I don't think Will Fuller's gonna score like that. I mean, we just got
Hopkins catch some of those balls. I mean, come on.
I don't know. And for the lightning rods, you gotta feel bad about you. I feel really bad for him because he put on a good performance this week, and yet he was still the blowout of the week. I mean, he got beaten by 75 points, I believe, or something like. I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? He just had to be on the poor end of this, and you can't. I mean, you just got to put up your hand and go, what are you going to do? Like, nobody could have beaten the 1603ers this week.
And he made no bench blunders whatsoever.
Yeah. No, I know. Not only could nobody of this week have beaten the 1603ers, nobody in the history of the league could have beaten this team. In the entire 7 seasons that we've played, nobody would have beaten this.
I feel like you scored more points than Zamunda has all season.
Actually, here's an interesting stat if you want to know, is if you would have combined Wakanda and Zamunda's scores, they still would not have beaten the 1603ers. If you combine both fictional films, it would not have beaten them. You could take it. We could have taken on 2 teams and beaten them this week. So yeah, I mean,
wow,
that's pretty incredible.
I know. I mean, in terms of point, we already had the lead in points. And we could go into greater details later on when we go into the point totals, but we had the lead in points going into this. Now we have 110 point cushion between us and the next highest point total team, which is Manny's team. 110 point. And by the way, our lead over, we're the only one in 700 at this point, in the 700 points scored. So yeah,
closer to 800.
What?
You're closer to 800.
We are closer to 800, and Zamunda has 526. So that is like 250 points more than the lowest team in the league. So
wow.
Yeah, it's. I mean, this is. I'm very happy with it. I don't think that we can expect things like this. This is just a treat. It's nice to have, and knowing our team will lose next week to the hobbled Wakanda Panthers, because I have no faith in my team to ever continue consistently to do these kinds of things. But I am very happy this week. This was nice.
Great week for you.
I don't even know what could be said. Competitive. It was not.
No. All right, but we can move to a competitive game. There was only really one this week, I want to say, and that was the game that was actually quite exciting, between the Memphis Monkeys and Dave's Secret Crush. So the Monkeys end up pulling out this game 158.06 to 157.04. I mean, this game really came down. I mean, we can go through all of the individual numbers, but I mean, it came down to Brisket in that final game, and Geese, you and I were watching this, and we were like, wow, like I don't think that he's, because he needed 1 point. All he needed was, I guess it was 25 yards or whatever. But we're like, I don't think he's gonna have the opportunity to even pass this ball.
Yeah, it was a rare case where the Colts had no reason to throw it whatsoever. I mean, anything that the quarterback did, Eugene would have won the game. Anything. But it was a run-heavy script at that time, and one of the closest games in league history again. I mean, we seem to be having a lot of those this season.
Yeah, it seems like every week there's like one of these close games. So, all right. So, going over the scores, the Memphis Monkeys, Jameis Winston had 21.46 points, 18.5 from Smith-Schuster. Cooper Kupp continues to do really well with 26.7 points, 25.8 from Dalvin Cook, 21.30 from Sony Michel, only 7.1 from Graham, 13.2 from James White, 10 from Crosby, and 14 from the Chargers defense. For Eugene's team, as we had just alluded to, Brisket gets 11.94. Had he gotten 12.94, this would be a different story and a different season for him. 32 from Thielen, 39.6 from Amari Cooper, 19.3 from Chris Carson, 29.3 from Josh Jacobs, 5.9 from Witten, 0 from Mike Evans, 7 from Myers, and 12 from Minnesota. And once again, Godwin left on the bench with 31.5 points. How many
I think we've been over this before, haven't we, Richard?
How many times is he going to do this? I mean, is he going to do it till he's mathematically eliminated? I mean,
Funny joke is, for Godwin's sake, play quarterback.
For God.
I know. I mean, yes, Evans had the one good week and your one win, but Godwin has been the more consistent. Every other week, I mean, Godwin's numbers, 14.3 week 1, 26.1 week 2. Then he only had the 7 the 1 week that he played that they played the Giants and the 1603ers. 41.2 in week 4 and 31.5. Come on, man. Come on, these are insane numbers. Ironically,
Art the man.
Ironically, at this point, if you were to offer it, it's no longer a garbage trade for this guy.
His nickname might be BB for bench blunder.
It's ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, and this loss is absolutely devastating. It doesn't really eliminate him yet because he has a relatively weak schedule coming up. So he might be able to pick up some wins in the next few weeks. And ironically, a win this past week could have set him up actually decently well to make a run for it. But, having lost this by 1 point, it really puts him behind the 8 ball and makes him, at 1-4 have to do well. For the Monkeys, I mean, this is a huge win for them too. Now, granted, they started off 0-2 under the Millennials leadership, but once it was taken over by a Gen Xer, it was all cleaned up, and he's been 2-1 since then. So a pretty impressive turnaround for this team. So I mean, you got to tip your cap to the Monkeys. There's since they've been the Monkeys, they've been 2-1. So
I mean, to waste such a great performance out of Thielen and Cooper, that's what's got to sting. I mean, look at these point totals, and then to be mentioned in such illustrious, rarefied company as the Garbage Barge and the Clawless Zamunda Lions at 1-4. it's got to sting for the champ.
It's got to sting for the champ, especially knowing, and it's pretty easy math to do here. You don't even have to go, normally when you're like, oh, if you would have put this player in, you got to subtract the points that they got and then add the other points. For Mike Evans, he got 0, so you just add the 31.5 points. He actually would be in near record-setting territory himself. Previous records, of course, not the current one, but he would have been 31 points. He would have been at 188 this week. Yeah.
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 I mean, he also sat Sutton and Westbrook. But not that there was any room. Just play for Godwin's sake. Play Godwin.
Yeah.
And for the Monkeys, they didn't play Matt Ryan, who got 38.9 points. This wouldn't have even been a close game there, had they. But they look. I don't necessarily blame them. Winston has been pretty hot, and makes sense. I don't know. And Smith-Schuster actually had a good game when they went to their third string when that quarterback took a pretty bad hit and was like, extra cheese. He was completely out of it. And so the third string is actually, he seemed to be able to pass it a little bit, so yeah. I don't know. The thing is that I feel like Eugene is squandering his opportunities so far.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just a missed opportunity here and there. Trust me, I know what it's like to lose by 1 point. It's very frustrating. Very, very frustrating indeed. And at this point, it gets more and more critical because Eugene's moving towards that magic number that we said. Remember, seven losses is pretty much unrecoverable.
Yeah. So that means he's got like a 3-game buffer before the magic elimination number that no team has ever actually made the playoffs with 7 losses. So
he's definitely had the most bench blunders, I feel, in this league.
Oh, it's Godwin.
Weird. Pretty much.
There's one a week with Godwin.
But even like Samuel had one good week, I feel. 16 and 14, week 3 and 2. So I don't know. Sutton has actually quietly been very good.
I know.
You look at his points.
The ironic thing is he doesn't even have to shaft anybody. It's like he doesn't know how to. It's not processing. Dude, you don't have to shaft anybody. Just play the player that's on your bench that you've been trying to shaft other teams with. You actually have the guy.
He's actually been shafting himself.
I know.
Never seen that before.
All this hype about Mike Evans. Mike Evans is very inconsistent. He's basically had one good game, and 45 is an anomaly. It's not. It's like an outlier in his other scores. But Godwin has consistently been good.
Yeah. And look, Geese, you are more than familiar with Mike Evans doing this. This is exactly what happened the first season that you had him.
I learned my lesson with Mike Evans. No way.
Yeah. So, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, and for the Monkeys, you could just see how good this team is. He's been putting up really high scores week after week ever since he actually, started doing things with his lineup as opposed to what was done previously with the Millennials.
Cooper Kupp is a monster.
Oh yeah, a lot of those guys on the Rams just point generating machines because they just keep getting enough targets and receptions that it just keeps adding up.
This week, both New England running backs actually did pretty well.
Yeah. But he needed every last point out of it, so good for him.
Yeah.
All right, so where shall we go next? Let's go, Manny. Let's go to your game.
All right,
because this is actually pretty exciting news. Finally, one of these top 2 teams faces a real squad. As the St. Louis Blues go down to Hackettstown's finest 144.02 to 119.84. Finally, 119 doesn't sustain a win, while teams that are putting up 157 are taking L's. So, Mahomes only gets 20.54 points for the Blues. I think that, and we could discuss this afterwards, but I think that Kansas City team might be in trouble. Beckham, the $60 man, only 5 points. 5.8 from Allen, 12 from Hyde. Aaron Jones, however, with the bulk of these points, with 49.2 points. Andrews, 9.5. Melvin Gordon, in his appearance, gets 7.8. Bryant with 6, and Baltimore defense gets 4. For Hackettstown's finest, you're 9.4 from Aaron Rodgers, 15.8 from DeAndre Hopkins, 11.2 from Mildred Brown, whatever. I don't even whatever. One of the Browns. Eckler getting the bulk of the points out of between him and Gordon, getting 22.3 points, 18.7 from Gurley, 13.6 from Hooper, 11 points from Kelsey, 7 from Gay, and 35. That's right, 35 for the Philadelphia defense playing that horrific Jets team. So, I mean, all right. So, first of all, I feel like most of the teams this week have been 1 or 2 trick ponies that have been carrying the entire team. The problem is that the Blues only had 1 trick pony, and you had 2. Your second pony, the Philadelphia Eagles, combined with. Although you actually had a more balanced team, like there were some decent scores spread out amongst your team here. And then you add the Philadelphia, score, which puts you over the top. Whereas he only, you take away that 49 points. What kind of pathetic score is this?
Yeah, but if you take away my 35, I don't win either. So the 35,
Well, if you do it like Olympic scoring, where you take away the highest and lowest points, you would still win this game. You take away his high and you take away your high, you have at least something left over.
That's true. I mean, my team, I'm very receiver heavy, but Eckler, I'm still worried about the Gordon and Eckler, dynamic going forward. But I mean, we'll save that till the next part of the podcast when we preview next week's games. Hopkins has really been, disappointing. When the team puts up 53 points and your number 1 receiver only gives you 15, I did win, but it is still a little bit disappointing considering Will Fuller, who I haven't even really seen before this year, went for 50 points.
I noticed.
And the number 1 receiver, I don't know, if he's getting covered better, but I feel like, only 7 receptions. So no scores. Rodgers has also been kind of disappointing. Isn't he known to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time?
Yeah, but I feel like Rodgers is one of those cases. See, quarterbacks, it all comes down to TDs. It does. I think people. The reason why Mahomes was so good last year is because he kept throwing TDs. And right. Aaron Rodgers undoubtedly is one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But if he's handing it off 4 times to Aaron Jones, yeah, that's going to take away from it. It's the same kind of thing that happened with Lamar Jackson one of the weeks. Because yardage only gets you so far. I forgot which quarterback this week. I think he threw for 400 yards. That really only added up. It was over 400 yards. So let's see. But let's say 400 yards is 4 times 4. That's only 16 points. It's the touchdowns that get you the points for the quarterback. So, it's not that Rodgers.
The year when they went, 15-1 or something, didn't he have crazy quarterbacks, crazy amount of touchdown passes as well?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I feel like and he's really faltered.
Yeah, he's threw for 238 passing yards, and 4 rushing attempts for -1 rushing yard. But so this is basically what you get when you don't get a touchdown is 9.42 points. So
Yeah.
But Mahomes
is another guy who I feel hasn't been great this year. I thought he was the best receiver coming in, but he's been average.
Who is this?
Kelsey.
Oh yeah. It's still tight end. And he does well for the position still. There hasn't been. He's been in double digits every week. That's
true.
What more can you ask for out of your tight end? I know you can ask more, but still.
Yeah.
For Mahomes and Geese, you could comment on this. But you watched that game. I think that the chefs might be a little bit exposed right now at this point, and that could hurt Mahomes' numbers.
If you can run the ball, certainly. You can keep him on the bench. Who knows? Maybe the Chiefs will figure it out and continue to air it out, but you need touchdowns. Mahomes gets dinged up, or they start running the ball, and all of a sudden his value goes right down the shitter, like everybody else's.
Yeah.
But he does get Melvin Gordon back, so it could work out still. Beckham's been on a little bit of a slide lately the last 2 games.
Yeah.
I was a little bit worried going into the Monday night game. I was up by 30, but I thought, he still had Odell going, and I thought that $60 would come back to, help him. Like karma for paying $60. I thought. So I was a little bit worried, but the 49ers did a good job on him, to say the least.
Well, actually, I have I could have a press release from their from the Blues organization. Let's see. I'm commenting on that. Something to the effect of, "Why are you trying to have me on the week I'm going to lose? Who are you, Bill Barr?" And then he said, "If ODB wins it for me, you can skewer me for an hour about drafting him." Let me see. He didn't have time this week. So, luckily for you, we don't have to skewer you for drafting him this week. We'll just skewer you for your poorest team. Yeah, I don't know, but he has a huge game coming up next week against this year's team Voldemort, which we could start discussing right now. So, let's go to the Zamunda Lions game, as the Zamunda Lions are defeated 117.84 to 178.24 from the organization that has written this. I'll read it out. Let me find it right here. There's so much crap in my thing. Okay. For immediate release, the Mighty Whalers are declining all interview requests from the fake news media who week in and week out have disparaged the team, its coaches, management, and players while the current winning streak remains intact. Please feel free to contact our PR department if and when the streak is broken for our availability at that time. Thank you, and long live the whale. So, I don't know.
Not much to digest there. So I guess in lieu of a review, we'll just refer to the statement, or are we still going to do a review of his team?
I don't know. Well, let's look. Well, so the Lions. Let's see. Prescott. They're new. All right. So the newly tooled Zamunda Housecats, Declawed Housecats, get 30.2 points from Prescott. Good game for him there. Not like what he did last week. Okay. Anyway, Emmanuel Sanders gets only 1.9. Tate. A different Tate. Auden Tate.
Audwin.
Auden. Did Dr. Hockey sneak onto one of these teams? What's going on here? Auden Tate pulled out of the cryo chamber with 11.6 points, 16.92 for Kamara, 11.5 from James Conner. The newly acquired James Conner. Kittle showed up this week with 20.8 points. Gordon with 10.9, 9 from Nugent, and 5 from the New Orleans defense. On the other side, they got 178 points. So, maybe if their front office wants to discuss things, we'll discuss their team, because apparently we've been disparaging them. So we will only do true statements. The other team got 178.24 points.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
We'll put our responses to verifiable fact.
Yes. So what do you have to say about the House Cats, the declawed House Cats of Zamunda?
I'm not quite sure where they're going with. They had a bunch of players that were in the cryo chamber and substituted them with players that are ready for the glue factory.
I just want you to just take a moment to just talk about how terrible this team is. So, going into this week, I mean, it has changed slightly, but going into this week, they had the least points against, and yet we're still in last place. So, I mean, now they've actually moved up. Currently, and we only state facts about this team, but it seems the Mighty Whalers only had 536.4 points against them, which is the lowest amount of points against in the league. True, verifiable stat. Yet the Zamunda Lions, so they've moved up to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Zamunda Lions, fifth least. The Blues, by the way, 588.78 points against, the second lowest. So yeah, interesting that he'll be playing. You know, the two teams that have the least amount of points against are playing each other in this upcoming week, and we can talk about that later. But yeah, anything else about the Zamunda Lions? I mean, they're pretty terrible. They're just terrible.
You know they're in trouble when they're holding on to Gronkowski on the bench.
I mean, that is a deep cryo chamber pick. I mean, that's like Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes kind of level of crap.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. We'll wait for Gronk to get back before we look for anything from this team, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. And as far as the other team, we'll wait for them to lose, and then we'll be free to comment about them.
Yes. We'll honor their press release.
Yes, exactly. Okay, talking about... well, is that... did we... we still have to go over the Tilla Trey game. So, speaking of other terrible teams, Nick and Jamie... the garbage barge, the lost boat, ends up losing to Tillett Trey team 155.22 to 93.56. Tillett Trey had 30.92 points from Tom Brady, 7.2 from Julio Jones, 36.40 from Chark, which is, actually, that's a good pickup for Tillett Trey. 18.6 from Johnson, 23.7 from Fournette, 2 from O.J. Howard, 13.4 from one of the millions of Williamses, Mike Williams. Zerline gets 12 and 11 from the Buffalo defense. For the garbage barge, 14.6 from Wentz, 7.7 from Hilton, 11.2 from Jeffrey, 17.8 from Mack in that Kansas City game. He was actually able to walk all over them and still only got 17.8 points. 13.8 from Henry, 2 from Delaney Walker, 18 from Devonta Freeman, 9 from Lambeau, and 0. That's right, 0 from the Arizona defense, and they left 19.8 points on the bench, which would have lost them the game by less points. And put them over 100. Look, Tillett continues to be a good team. He's made some smart pickups. I think that the Chark pickup was very smart. He's recovered from the Antonio Brown mishap. His running backs remain solid. I mean, David Johnson has actually been good this year now that he has a coach that's no longer like doing what they did last year. Fournette has been in... I mean, I think he finally took a playoff, but he's been in, in so many plays that you're going to get point totals. So generally a pretty solid team there. And I think he finally is going to get Herndon back. So he might have a tight end now. And then Zerline is his kicker. I mean, this is a really solid team. It's and it's all just done from his drafting. So it's pretty impressive there, I think.
Yeah. He's really made some savvy moves. I will definitely say that. Even with Julio struggling this season, he's still making things happen. No tight end to speak of, but still putting up those points. Like I said, that shark move was very, very savvy. Yeah. So,
and Nick and Jamie continuing to not make great moves. I don't even know what to say here.
I don't mean to barge in, but this garbage barge is ready to sink. Hopefully it sinks to Hackettstown Harbor this week. We need a win in Hackettstown badly.
Who's their win
There's
against?
no one even worth talking about. Marlon Mack, maybe that's the only saving grace on this team.
I mean, Marlon Mack, actually, though, Mack Attack got, like, a high point total because the Kansas City run defense is atrocious. Like, he had his way with them the way he wants to. I mean, Henry's been fine. Devonta Freeman, actually, all right, I don't know.
This is where I seem to notice a general theme when we start talking about the garbage barge team. There's a lot of I want to say something, but it's like what am I looking at here?
A lot of moaning and groaning.
I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what to say. Where do you begin? I mean, where do you begin to fix this team? Are they? Let's put it this way. Are they more or less hopeless than the Zamunda Lions? Which team has a better chance to turn it around?
I mean, Zamunda basically they traded away their entire team.
Are you saying Nick just never had a team?
I feel like that's the case. like Zamunda year after year continues to make trades. Like, I mean, he's drafted some of the best teams I've seen, and then he gives them away. And the interesting thing is, this year I feel like it was way more subtle. Like last year, you're like, what are you doing, Zamunda? Like, it was the Allen brothers for Ezekiel Elliott, whereas this year it's more like each individual trade you could be like, I could see him doing that. That makes sense. I could see him doing that. And then you go to the next one, you're like, I could see that. I could see that. And then the next one, you're like, I could see that too. And then eventually but then you like look at the final result and you're like, what the hell happened? You had. I mean, he had Chubb, he had Karrion Johnson, he had Kamara as his running backs to start with, and now he doesn't. I mean, who do the House Cats even have? I don't even know. So, what?
The House Cats. I mean, do they play in litter box?
I don't know. It's like they, it's like they went to the vet and got declawed. I mean, like, but in the aggregate, you look at it and you're like, I don't know. It didn't work out that well. Whereas Nick and Jamie, I'm like, what did they even? I don't even know. I mean, they were hurt by Andrew Luck retiring, I guess. Not that they didn't have that information before the auction. I mean, and by the way, they're normally like on Defensive Digest. I mean, they're some of the savvy. They're one of the savvier coaches in the league season after season. The last two, I have some questions about what's been going on with the team. In fact, I'd like to talk to them if they will return our calls. If they, I don't know, we could talk to their press office and see if they have any press releases for us about their disparagement. But I mean, like last year they went with pretty much all Patriots, which worked well until it didn't. And this year I just don't. It's not even that bad a team. I mean, it is, but it's not.
Well, if I'm thinking back to the draft, I don't think they handled the draft very well, in my opinion. I think Nick and Jamie, I know he drafted a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah, I seem to recall that. There was a lot of quarterbacks.
A lot of quarterbacks on the team. And then Zamunda, I think, spent a lot of money initially, and then they were just waiting until the last few rounds. And I think, that's not really the smartest move going into a draft, but, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, we did largely the same thing, but, like, I don't know. I don't know. And then, like, and you can see, I mean, look, it made, but even the moves that they're making, like the Arizona defense, okay, that makes sense. I understand why Defensive Digest would say pick the Arizona defense. They're playing the Bungles. Look at what the Bungles gave up the week before on Monday Night Football. I mean, what was it, 8? It seemed like every play was a sack. So it makes sense that you'd go pick up the defense that was sacking and or the offense, or the defense against the team that was sacking and fumbling, and doing all this other stuff the week before. But they end up with 0.
It's certainly it's a head scratcher. Maybe we can have them on next week to answer some of these questions.
I would love to. I'd love to have them on the program next week. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it for this week's games. I mean, is there any other commentary that we have about the previous week's games before we get into next week's games?
All I can say is don't expect 209 points next week.
I don't expect 209 points ever again to happen in this league. Yeah, it was just lightning rods in a bottle. I don't know what else to say. I mean, yeah, but a lot of these teams just, I mean, I think this whole last week was really one or two players. I mean, there was, I want to say like 3 players maybe in the league, or 4 players in the league who just had massive point totals and carried their entire, the entire thing.
And you had 2 of them. McCaffrey, Fuller, Aaron Jones, Russell Wilson,
and what do you call it? Deshaun Watson.
Sean Watson. Yeah, those 5.
Yeah. So
ESPN did a thing. If you had the dream lineup, if you had all the people, it would have been like 340 points, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think, first of all, it's not going to be anything like that.
Do either of you guys do daily fantasy?
No.
No.
I mean, I guess you probably could have gotten, because Will Fuller was not going for that much money in daily fantasy anyway. Yeah, no, I mean, but like I've said before, it seems like every other week, like you have a week with like massive point totals, then you have a week with low point totals, then a massive week, and then low point totals. And this last week was huge point totals, for teams. And we'll see if coming up this is going to be a week where the point totals go back down like to under 100 and stuff. So I don't know. We shall see, but yeah. We'll see how many weeks it takes for Zamunda to, or even Wakanda, to catch just the point total that the 1603ers got. We play Wakanda this week. I wonder if we spot the last week's score plus whatever he's going to get this week, if that'll still equal the point total that the 03ers got this last week. I don't know. All right, so I guess we're going to take a little break right now. After the break, we have our interview segment. I'm excited to be able to have the opportunity to talk to Kimmel, who I haven't seen since probably, I want to say like 5 years ago during the Center Bowl when I had broken, or at least cracked a rib or whatever I did. I was in extraordinary pain during that Center Bowl in New Jersey. So I look forward to hearing from him, and we'll be right back right after this word from our sponsors. Stay tuned, everyone. Fantasy football can take a lot out of you. The stress, the lack of sleep, the beads of sweat dripping down your brow as you question your every move week to week. Like precision automobiles require high-octane fuel to power their engines, you need similar fuel to power your engines. So when you're running on empty, grab yourself a cool, refreshing can of whoop-ass, packed with essential components like Will Fuller, Deshaun Watson, Christian McCaffrey, or Michael Thomas. Each can of whoop-ass has exactly what your team needs to power you through when your opponent hits the wall. From the makers of Hickory Sticks, a can of whoop-ass could be just what you need to get you through a Sunday of fantasy football. Whoop-ass. Anything less is just ass. Alright, welcome back to the show in our continuing series of interviewing players and coaches from the league. We are happy to be joined by the coach of the Tillet Tray team, Mr. Jim Chavon. Hello, welcome to the show.
Is it
hey guys, hey listeners.
Yourself, mostly. I can tell you that this starts probably at the 1 hour point. You probably want to start listening to this like then. Or just pay attention now. You know, while you're talking.
I'll pay attention now.
Yeah. All right. So you come off a big win against the Garbage Barge this week. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was an easy one.
Yeah. So, I feel like you have had one of these teams just over the last few years. First of all, you've had some of the most exciting games that I have ever seen in this league. Like, it seems like almost every week, this last week excluded, you're like always just waiting for one catch to happen. I mean,
oh yeah, no, it's been exciting, and that's the kind of stuff that makes fantasy football fun. Like, everyone wants to win, but at the same time, I kind of think of it like I think of video games. Like I play like games like Overwatch, right? And it's like, yeah, I'm playing to win, but at the same time, if I have a really close game that was really fun that I lost, that's not a big deal to me. I'd rather be competitive. I'd rather, have red zone on and watching those 4 o'clock games really intently, like rooting for guys. When I have the games won like halfway through the 1 o'clock games, it's like, okay. It's not as much fun.
Wow, that's totally opposite me. I actually I like to relax. Like this last week, I was like, I'm going to see the Joker. I'm happy. I hate the stress.
No spoilers on that, by the way.
Oh no, definitely not. But go see it. Yeah. So I mean, like,
I will.
So the last few seasons, I feel like your team has been under the radar, one of the better teams, really since season 4. I think like when you started out, you were in like last place and second to last place the first couple seasons, but then you made it to the finals against LeVar. The season after that, I believe, was the Amari Cooper one, where like the first week you just needed him to catch that one catch, and you didn't get it, and then you missed the playoffs by that one game, I think.
Yeah, it was good times.
Yeah. And then
remember what I said a minute ago about how I want the games to be close? Like that one stung. I take it back. That one stung a bit. I'm sure
it does. And so do you think that you've benefited from just being underestimated somewhat? Like, first of all, you call yourself the Tillet Tray, which for anybody who doesn't know, the Tillet Tray was the tray that was handed out to the biggest loser in the BHL. And then you had your first 2 years where you didn't do that well. So do you think teams like underestimate you? Like you just get by under the radar? Because you are legitimately, and you have been, a very good team for the last 3 years.
Well, I appreciate that, Dave. As far as being underestimated, I don't really think that's the case, just because of the nature of fantasy football. Like it's not like I'm physically going head to head with any of these people. You just put your best lineup up and cross your fingers. So I don't really think people really think about my team unless they're playing my team.
Yeah, but
and
I mean,
they just look at what's their estimate. Okay, cool. I'm just a guy in the league.
I feel like Geese is he's playing Nick and Jamie this week. Aren't you gonna like take a nap at this point? Are you even setting a lineup?
Well, I'll just figure out what day is recycling, and then I'll just leave it at that.
To add a second note to that last question, I will say that one thing that's made it a little bit easier over the years is the amount of leagues I'm in has steadily declined throughout the last couple seasons. At one point, I was upwards of like 4 leagues at a time, which kind of makes it hard to give everyone your attention. Then down to 3, then down to 2, and I'm happy to say that this year this is the only fantasy league I'm in.
Wow!
So it's getting my full attention.
Oh, wow, we're honored.
Wow.
Yes, we are.
But I did get fucked by Antonio Brown pretty hard this season.
Well, I mean, it seems to be that like season after season, you're fucked by at least one receiver over and over. I mean, it was Amari Cooper. Now it's Antonio Brown.
Raiders receivers. I don't know what I was fucking thinking. Get myself into this mess again. He's still on my roster too. I'm still kind of holding out hope that surprise. Oh, the Bengals signed Antonio Brown. It's gonna hit the headline any day now. But honestly, I'm just keeping him because there's not even anybody on the waiver wire worth picking up at this point. So
no, that's true. That's definitely true. So how do you what is your general preparation for a week? Are you reading a lot of magazines, or are you just kind of throwing it together on a Sunday or on a Saturday or something like that?
No, I mean I'm looking at it just about every day. Just seeing if anyone's dropping somebody that is stupid, things like that. Kind of reading all the notes on my players and shit like that. As far as reading magazines and things like that, I'm not that super gung ho into it. My boss is like, into like, he pays for a service that gives him fucking crazy details and shit like that. I will do like player comparisons, right? If I'm trying to figure out who should be my flex spot, like I'll go to those sites. It's like, compare this player to that player, and I'll try to see if I'm doing anything stupid. Like, I think I'm going to pick this guy. It's like, oh, well, the website says only 14% should pick that guy and 86 should pick the other, right? Might make me think twice. I'll do some more research. But that's pretty much the extent of it. I'm really not that good of a fantasy player, to be honest.
I mean, you're good. I mean, like, first of all, you've known us for 20 years or whatever. I mean, we're the most competitive people on the planet. And the fact that you've been to a finals in this league, I mean, I think it says something about how good you could be. I don't know, Geese, you have any questions?
No, we'll just go with the usual stuff. I like to go all the way back to the auction. What were your thoughts or plans going in? Did you get the people you wanted? Like, were you satisfied? What were your auction results according to you?
I never really go into an auction thinking I'm gonna really go for this player or that player. Usually I'll have a couple mid-tier guys that I'll try to get at a decent price, but I try not to put too much stock in any of the high-priced guys because knowing you guys, they could go up for like $20, $30 over what the fucking normal price is. So like I try not to get too tied down to any player going into the draft. I think towards the end I started drafting all Jets players, which is kind of one of my hallmark. I think I had Robbie Anderson, Quincy Enunwa, Herndon. Herndon's still on my team.
Oh, Clam Crowder too.
Crowder worked out for me. I've since dropped Crowder because what the fuck's he gonna do with Falk throwing to him? But yeah, he worked out week 1. I wasn't expecting to have to put him in there. It was a week 2 or one of the weeks. Yeah, I think it was week 1 he went off. 17 targets or some shit like that. Like who would have predicted that, right? So, I kind of got a little lucky there. And now I'm getting Herndon back. He's been sitting on my bench for 5 fucking weeks. What a mistake that was. I'm like, oh, well, he'll come back and he's going to be good. It's like, yeah, I wasn't thinking that I'm going to have to waste the whole fucking roster spot for half the season on this guy. So he better fucking perform. But he's got, small spleen, Sam thrown to him this week, so we should be fine.
Uh, Manny, your turn to. Do you have any questions?
Well, I'm looking at your team, and I'm actually quite impressed because, like, a lot of these guys, I didn't think were going to be, very good in the auction, but like they actually are performing very well. So I give you a lot of credit for that.
Thanks.
And are there any guys that you're like kind of eyeballing whether or not you want to like drop them or?
Always looking for
Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown's the top of that list.
Antonio
My whole
Brown.
bench is crap, to be honest. That's part of my strategy in the draft is basically spend a lot on starters, like $56 on Antonio Brown. And then just try to make up the rest of my roster on makeshift. And I'm always, you're always going to pick up a decent player week 1, week 2 off the waivers. So that's kind of my strategy too. Also, too, you'll see I have David Johnson and Leonard Fournette on my team. I like to have running backs that have the opportunity to catch, passes to pad the stats a bit.
Definitely.
Usually, my strategy is to go heavy on running backs and have like a third starting running back as my flex. Over the years, that's kind of tapered off a little bit in favor of wide receivers, but even my wide receiver squad's pretty rough now that I lost Antonio Brown, so I'm making do with. I picked up Mike Williams, who actually had a decent week this week, but he had like no catches last week.
Yeah,
he's pretty terrible. So when you have a guy like that in your lineup, it's not great.
Yeah,
and I kind of hit a home run with DJ Chark down in Jacksonville. I think I paid $17 for him. Picked him up one week. I think maybe after week 1 or something like that. So he's been killing it. He had 36 points this week. Ridiculous. So.
Yeah.
You got to get a little lucky with your waiver wire pickups.
And Buffalo's defense has been very impressive. What would you consider giving up for like a top tier defense? Would you consider ever like giving up a position player for a defense?
There goes Manny.
You're always wheeling and dealing on these shows. Well, let me ask you this, because I talked to you years ago about trading. And your feeling has always been that you would be willing to trade, but you feel that people in this league are just trying to screw you over in trades all the time. So
it doesn't stop. I mean, in past seasons, there's been multiple people. Now it's just Scott left. Scott's the only one sending me fucking crazy Fugaku trades, and I have to constantly tell him to go fuck himself every time. Like, yeah, dude, let me trade away this guy. Spend like $40 in the draft for somebody you just picked up off the waiver wire. Sure, yeah, right on top of that.
Has Eugene offered you any trades?
I don't think Eugene has offered me anything. But regardless of what he offered, I tell him to go fuck himself. Are we censored on this? Should I be watching my language?
No, not at all.
I know.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that was another question actually I had. What's your what do you think about trading? Are you kind of against it and you're more like geared towards the waiver wire, or are you want to entertain trading?
I have nothing against trading. It's just that I don't go out of my way to propose trades. I don't even know if I've ever proposed a trade in this league, to be honest.
Have you ever made a trade?
I probably have made a trade. I don't know if I have. But I do know that, 98 out of 100 trades that are proposed to me are for Gazy. So, maybe that soured me on trading a little bit. But if somebody offers me a trade that makes sense, obviously I'll listen. It just seems like most people are just trying to, run one over on somebody when they're offering a trade.
And by that you mean the Whalers? Okay, yeah. Good to know. I should probably read his press release in response.
Is there a way to go back and see past trades that have been proposed to me? Because I would love to just tell you guys what trades Scott has offered me up this year.
Yeah, I'm extremely curious.
I don't know if there is a way. I wonder, is there?
I get them on my email sometimes.
Yeah, that might be a way. I don't know. I usually, the more ridiculous trades, I usually take screenshots and just go. I send it to Geese like, look at this ridiculousness. How many times can he try to package David Montgomery as for whatever.
Yeah.
For McCaffrey. I'm sorry. I don't care if you do throw in Godwin or whatever. Although Godwin's actually getting good.
I'm looking through my email now. I don't see emails about trades unless they're in my junk mail or something.
But it is your junk mail. I should read the statement for the Whalers, the immediate release. The mighty Whalers are declining all interview requests for the fake news media who, week in and week out, have disparaged the team, its coaches, management, and players while the current winning streak remains intact. Please feel free to contact our PR department if and when the streak is broken for our availability at that time. Thank you, and long live the whale. So, I just
Is this like a China thing?
I don't know. This was sent when we it sent an interview request to the Whalers. That was his response. So apparently we're the fake news media here.
That was his response. Oh,
yes.
I was thinking that is something you wrote. I was like,
no, I have not. No. This is the Whalers front office responding to this show's request for comment.
That's just Scotty being Scotty.
Of course. So do you? So last week we talked about like rivalries and the rivalries that the Lightning Rod seem to have. So do you have any particular team that you have a rivalry with? I could tell you that I think you've beaten me pretty much every time I've ever played you. There might be one time that I won, but you first of all, do you consider me a rival? And second of all, are there any teams that you just circle the calendar for?
No, I don't really circle the calendar. I'm just trying to get wins. I mean, obviously, when I'm playing somebody in the league that, I've, know more than others like you, Dave, or Giza, it just kind of adds a little bit more to the game, on my side. I kind of care maybe a little bit more than I would if I'm playing, one of your guys' friends that I don't know very well. But I would say the only, I kind of, I wish all the best on everybody, but I kind of hope Eugene loses.
Don't worry, he is. He's definitely living up to your your wishes there.
Was he 1-4? Great.
Yeah.
Oh, I won 3 last season and I won. Eat a dick. Oh, no offense, Dave. No offense, Dave.
Oh, no, none taken.
Robin Hood.
Yeah, he's Robin Hood. And I've eaten many dicks. Whatever. So, let's see. And Whalers, too. Do you have, some kind of rival? I would think that you have some, at least, whatever the Whalers. You have history with them.
Yeah, I mean, just similar to if I'm playing you or Giza, I care a little bit more about that game, but, nothing that's going to make me crazy. I mean, I know I'm better than NHL 96 at him. That kind of just gives me, a little bit of I don't care if I lose at this. So.
Everybody was better than everybody at NHL 96. Did you see that there's this thing called Samosa or something? My roommate has it where you can actually play online NHL 96 against people. We should do that sometime.
No, but I'm Googling that right now.
I know. It's like sumo.
I'm getting recipes for a fried bakery pastry. I don't think this is the right. What is it called?
Like Sumosa or something, like Sumo System or Sumosis. Sumo SYS? Is that what it is? Sumosis. I don't know.
Samosa. Yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
And what is this? You play through an emulator and you can play online? This is not what I was looking for either.
I don't know. SUMOSYS. I don't know. He bought it for like $80 off of some Chinese website or something, and it worked. I don't know. I've played it. It has like every game, that any of us grew up with.
It's like a physical, Genesis type thing?
It's a physical, little tiny box. But it looks, and it kind of looks, if it's tiny, but it looks like a Nintendo. It's shaped like a Nintendo. But yeah, it has all the games from not only Nintendo, but what else? Sega Genesis. I think they had Madden on there. They had everything. I'll have to find. I think I posted about it in the center once.
I don't know if I saw that. I mean, I have a computer, so I would think that the easier way, rather than buy an $80 box, is I could just use my computer. And I think there are ways that some of the emulators have where you can play online. In fact, I wouldn't be opposed to playing some NHL 96 games with some of you guys at some point.
I know.
We can figure out how to make that work.
Yeah, we should just.
Or have you guys played that new? Every year they put out a version of Tecmo Super Bowl with updated rosters.
Oh no, do they?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And they also updated the stats where, like, quarterbacks will actually throwing complete passes and stuff. It's pretty neat. You should check it out. It's kind of nice playing with the Jets and having Sam Darnold be my quarterback in Tecmo Bowl.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, first of all, you have Tom Brady as your quarterback, and yet you are a Jets fan. Yeah. Does that hurt a little bit, or?
It was hard making the pick. I'll be honest. Especially when Antonio Brown got traded there, I'm like, oh my god, my top 2 fucking players are Patriots. But in a season where the Jets have a chance, I think it would hurt me more. But in a season like this, where it was over before it started, it's not going to hurt me too much to root for the Patriots a bit.
Yeah. That's
it's like I'm a dude sitting here in Jersey, right? Like, what I do in my fantasy football team is not going to fucking affect how the Patriots play on the field. So if the dude's going to play good and he's on my team, great.
I mean, I completely disagree. I think what we do, I'm the most superstitious person in the world. If my players are doing well, I won't urinate. Because I don't want to get rid of the bad, of the good urine or anything else. So I totally disagree with you there. But yes, I understand what you're saying. And the same thing with the Jets. They are terrible. So I find myself being able to pour myself more into fantasy football because of how bad they've been pretty much for the last decade.
Yeah. Have you seen the episode of It's Always Sunny called Charlie's Home Alone?
No. I've seen a
few.
I've seen the Nightmare. Go ahead.
Oh, the Nightmare. Okay, so they did an episode, like 2-part episode last season where they went to the Super Bowl. The only thing is they left without Charlie. So Charlie's back at the bar, and he thinks people are gonna break into the bar, so he sets up all these Home Alone booby traps.
Okay.
And then throughout the episode, he proceeds to get trapped one by one in each of them himself. But he. The reason I bring this up is because he had a really strong tradition of doing these pregame rituals, and he really felt like that was going to affect the game itself. And they actually brought out 2 eagles to be on the episode that kind of were in his imagination. They're like, Charlie, you've got to do your rituals, otherwise we're going to lose the game, man. It's all on you. That's what I was thinking of when you were just saying how.
It's pretty hilarious and true. So, all right, what else do we have? All right, so right now you're at 5th place, 3-2. What do you think are your team's chances going forward? I mean, because you're right in the mix. It looks like, you look pretty decent, at least to make the playoffs. There's a good chance of that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at points for, right, that's really the strength of your team. I'm middle of the pack, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously you have 100 more points than anybody else in the fucking league, so it's kind of crazy that you're 3-2.
I know.
I also have one of the lower points against. So, again, with losing Antonio Brown, who I spent a quarter of my budget on, that's rough. I mean, I think with that taking place, I'll probably be a little lucky to make it into the playoffs. If I had a pick right now, I'm either going to just squeak in or just miss it. Again, middle of the pack kind of player, middle of the pack kind of team. So that's my prediction.
Yeah, but last year, you just kind of squeaked your way into the playoffs, and then you went on a pretty decent run. So I mean, it's totally possible to I mean,
those playoff weeks, any given Sunday kind of thing. If your team steps up, you can win games. It almost gave me kind of false hope, that I could actually win it all, and that was dashed.
Yeah, trust me, as somebody who's been there twice, I know exactly what that feels like. All right. I'm out of questions. Anybody else have any questions?
Nope.
Nothing.
I pretty much covered a lot of stuff. Yeah.
All right.
I can go in depth one by one and analyze each player, but I'm not going to do that.
Or who
I'm
you
always
wanna-
looking.
or who
I'm
you
always
wanna
looking
trade
to
for?
get an edge, so don't mind me for asking about your like specific players.
Yeah. Expect some trade offers tomorrow. He's gonna look at your thing. He's gonna be like, "All right, who would you give me for this?"
I'm up
But
for
I'm
whatever.
I'm totally in
What were
it
you
to
saying
win it,
before about-
and anything less than first is disappointing to me. Unlike you, who looks for drama and excitement. I just look for wins.
Yeah, you know, it's fun when it comes down to the Monday night game and each guy's got a player in it. You know, that's fun. It makes me like want to watch Monday Night Football as opposed to like the game being over, me not really giving a shit about Monday Night Football. I kind of enjoy it.
I love that to happen for other players. I love watching a good game, a good close game. Like this game with the Monkeys and Eugene on Sunday. That was fantastic to watch. As long as I'm not involved in it.
Yeah.
I try to find the joy in it.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I have no joy in life. Well, I mean, I have joy in life, just not in fantasy football. It's like this torture. It's like that guy. What was that Tom Hanks movie where he used to beat himself? Not Tom Hanks, the other guy, the one with the churches thing. That's what I feel like, where I'm like whipping myself to play fantasy football and finally, hopefully, win one of these years. 20 years. I've been playing sports. Just want to win one.
You sound like me as a Jets fan. I just want them to win one.
Exactly.
Actually, I created a Reddit thread a couple months ago asking the question, if you could sign right now for a Jets championship in 2035 and they wouldn't win one until then, would you sign for that? I thought that was kind of an interesting question.
Would I sign for that? What do you mean?
Yeah. Guaranteed Jets Super Bowl in the year 2035. They would not win a Super Bowl before then. After that, it's back to normal. But would you sign for a guaranteed Super Bowl in 2035 at this point?
Oh, yeah, that's well ahead of pace, I think, for the Jets.
Well,
I argued that I would. To guarantee that I would see a Jets Super Bowl in my lifetime, I would give up their opportunity to win over the next 15 years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're not going to win over the next 15 years anyway. Whatever. What have I lost?
That's what I'm saying.
It's looking like just one win game, like a game, not a championship at this point. I mean, they're really bad.
What, are you a Giants fan?
I am not. I'm a fantasy football fan, but I'm looking to start any defense that plays the Jets because they're so atrocious.
Well, they've had,
right now
their third string quarterback playing the last couple weeks. They have Sam back this week, so it's going to be a little bit.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but if he takes one hit in the spleen, yeah, I know. I don't know. No, I would, yeah. Oh, 2035? Oh, definitely. I'll take 2050. And
I would too, but I don't know if I'm going to make it that long.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. I mean, you're starting to get to like the math of what the age, the longevity tables are. I don't know when I'll be 72. I'll be like one of those guys who's like a Cubs fan, who's like, oh, now I could die in, or like the Ranger guy, now I could die in peace, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen a championship for every other. Well, I call myself a Knicks fan, even though I don't really care about basketball. But those are the only two teams that have not won me a championship yet, that I've at least been able to see it.
Yeah, the Knicks are an embarrassment.
Oh, completely.
They are.
So, but the Jets are kind of. I mean, the Jets fall in the same category as the Mets, where just uncanny things happen, like mono to their quarterback.
They did make 2 AFC championship games in this decade.
Yes, they did. I am well aware of that.
Yep.
And they lost.
The Santa.
They lost.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. Well, then I guess that's it for our interview, unless anybody else has anything else. No?
No, we're good.
For joining us, Mr. Tillett Trey, head coach.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Well,
It was nice meeting you.
So yes, your timestamp. Oh yeah, before we go, your little request for your timestamps. So first of all, it takes like 8 hours to edit these things.
No, really?
Well, it takes a long time.
Not 8 hours.
Well, the show has been around 3 hours, and then it takes a long time to render it. It's surprisingly long. I usually do it overnight on the Thursday.
You're not rendering it by hand, though, Dave.
I am not, but it's not like I'm listening to it after I do it. I have faith that it recorded well enough, and I rely on you to point it out when it doesn't, or everybody else. Everybody else who who claims that they don't listen to it, and then are always like, "Well, you screwed up on this thing." So
Yeah, what are people calling out? What is like nitpicky shit?
What have they called out?
Or have you ever had like something where like the podcast goes like dead after like halfway through and you don't realize it?
No, but
actually,
that did happen. Yes, I mean, but we did fix it before it happened. But yes, I mean before we aired it. Yes,
That's good production right there. That's good quality assurance.
Yeah, I know. This is why I actually look at it now. Yeah. Well, all right. Yeah. So I will try to do your timestamp, but I can tell you right now, it's probably going to be like an hour and a half will be your interview, though you've already heard it since you've been on it. And then your game.
I'll listen to it though, because I have an ego.
Of course, we all do. Yeah. So, wow, look at that. We're going to come in right at 30 minutes. So, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck this week in your game. And, make it far in the season, and we'll hopefully have you back on to discuss.
Okay, cool.
All right. Awesome.
Thank
It
you.
was nice chatting with you guys also. Been a long time.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Talk to you guys.
All right. Bye.
all right, sir.
Bye-bye.
All right, peace out.
All right. So that was the coach of the Tilla Trade team. Thanks for joining us, and we will be right back right after this. When it comes to breakfast, we know you have a lot of restaurants to choose from, but why not just come on down to the breakfast restaurant that gives you a lot of choices? Here at Mike Evans, we have delicious donuts, fresh goose eggs, and a variety of bagels. You'll love our Wombo Combo, which you can wash down with a refreshing Coke Zero, or zip down for some small fries or a knot sausage with a side of bupkis. And our well-maintained restrooms make it so you don't have to worry about diddly poo squat when you jack shit. Located in a basement near you, won't you join us at Mike Evans Restaurants? Since your team is going the way of the dodo bird, your breakfast might as well too. You'll thank God when you did. All right, welcome back to the show. And actually, we have a little surprise segment. Not even a segment, just whatever. A surprise guest. He called mid-show, sort of, to ask advice on a trade that was just made. Welcome to the show, the coach of the Memphis Monkeys, Mr. John Hernandez.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here.
So,
I gotta say, this is the most coaching participation we've had on this podcast in the history of fantasy football this season.
Oh, definitely. We've heard
Last year was just me and Dave on every week. It's so boring.
Well, especially when you were 3 and what, 10 or something? Just
Yeah,
depressed.
3 and 10 didn't help matters either.
Yeah, talking about how you wanted to hang yourself in various ways as the season went on.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. The trade already happened, or just happened. So I guess you could see what time this crap is recorded, based on when it went through. So congratulations on acquiring yourself a brand new shiny Saquon Barkley.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really hoping that his performance as an injured person is.
Well, now that he's left Wakanda, he'll probably heal. Expect a Cooper Kupp injury pretty soon. Perhaps.
I have heard he's accident or injury prone. So
I feel bad for him. Please sign up for Wakanda Mutual. So let's see. What?
I was going to say, what is it? What is Wakanda Mutual? I'm sorry, I'm uninitiated on that one.
Oh, it's one of our sponsors. I'll play you their commercial later. So here's the trade. The Wakanda Panthers trade away Will Disley and Saquon Barkley for Cooper Kupp and Sony Michel. Clearly, Wakanda needing warm bodies, and Cooper Kupp is a good warm body. So. Your thoughts on this trade, everyone who wants to opine?
Well, I would have given Dr. Hockey Marvin Jones Jr. for Saquon Barkley. Being that the man is desperate, he's in dire straits.
Eugene would have definitely.
Eugene would have done like a Montgomery.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't take advantage, certainly, which is rare in this league. I mean that people might see you as weak now. Expect trade offers up the wazoo from these scoundrels.
Well, I've had a few other trade offers that I went ahead and declined earlier.
Wow.
I will admit he got me with the name value. I saw Saquon and I thought, if he's not useless after the high ankle sprain, that could end up being a good trade.
Yeah, and having Dalvin Cook and Saquon Barkley as your backfield, not a bad backfield.
No, not at all. Not at all. I will be missing Cooper Kupp's consistent performance, but as you mentioned, he's probably about to get injured. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, so is who did you trade away? Oh, Sony Michel. I'm sorry for you and your family.
Well, he hasn't really been that big of a performer anyway, so I wasn't upset about that one. Cooper, of course, that's a big source of points.
So it boils down to basically Saquon Barkley for Cooper Kupp.
That's basically what it is, but I did like the Disley part of it because given that my tight end right now is Jimmy Graham, almost anything would be an improvement, except for Greg Olsen, which is what he originally proposed.
Yes, Disley has been definitely better than Greg Olsen. Though I mean, Greg Olsen was fine at the beginning of the season, before Cam got injured. But now that Cam has been injured, he's been non-existent. So yeah, but Disley has been fine. So I mean, once Barkley gets, I think that you might pay for this a little bit in the short term, but I think
I think so.
I think in the long term, it's yet another beastly team that's just waiting out there.
I'm fine with it not paying off in the short term.
Yeah, being that you're playing him this week, right? Well, while we have you on the show, why don't you do you want to discuss your victory this past weekend? Way to go! 1-point victory right over Eugene and Dave's Secret Crush. Congratulations.
Well, yeah, it was a nail biter there at the end. But I personally, I think we deserved it. Had I could have just played Matt Ryan, it would have been a wrap as it is. But the extra
he
tension at the end was good.
I mean, he could have played Godwin.
He could have what?
He could have played Godwin, one of these weeks, instead of Mike Evans getting a constant donut on his team. So,
Yeah. Well, we got the W. I guess that's what matters, right?
It is, especially.
So we taking it over from an 0-2 team and turning it into a 2-3 team.
Who now has Saquon Barkley? I mean, it's got to look good for your prospects there. And then for hockey, like I said, at least he has somebody to start the game that'll probably get injured in the first quarter, rather than having nobody to start at all whatsoever. Well, we could do this a little bit in reverse. We'll go over the standings and any of the notable transactions, being that this is one of them. But before you go, do you want to let's have us review your two games, or your game with the two of you. So before you go, so the Memphis Monkeys take on Hackettstown's Finest. Right now, your entire bench is empty, so I can't really comment on what your I mean, your projection right now is 97.
I'm adding people. Don't worry, it's coming. Marvin Jones Jr. is going in the game.
He's not been bad, and Hawkinson's injured, so he actually might be fine. Let's go down Hackstown's Finest lineup right now. So Aaron Rodgers versus Detroit on Monday night. DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, Tyreek Hill, is he actually coming back?
He is. He practiced today. He was a limited participant, but he's expected to go.
Okay.
If you listen to Hackettstown's Finest, a.k.a. Tyreek Hill's agent, he's belting high on Tyreek.
I'm sure he's trying to peddle him. Eckler, are you trying to sell high on him too? I would imagine. I could foresee a Hill Eckler package, kind of like the 2008 mortgage crisis where they just pack decredit garbage loans together for something A-rated.
Is that your next commercial?
No, we have some food items on this episode. Those are our sponsors for this episode. But next week, yes, I think we might consider advertising Hackettstown's credit default swaps. So then Todd Gurley, he's got a Q next to his name. What's going on there?
He tore his quad. He's day-to-day. I'm a little bit nervous about that, so I picked up the Rams' backup running back just in case.
Malcolm something.
Malcolm Brown.
Right.
What can Brown do for you? That's what my team is about.
Another Brown?
I know. How many Browns are you going to have on your team?
Browns on your team.
Yeah, this is why I just... this is why I just... There's 2 M Browns, by the way, also. So, I'm going to call this one... I don't even know. I mean, I keep calling one of them Mildred.
Gallup has been pretty good, actually. The 3 games that he's played, I like his production.
Oh, yeah. So there is Gallup and then Kelsey.
Yep. But then I don't know whether, for me it's kind of tricky whether or not to put Hooper in my flex because he's actually been better than Kelsey this year. So I'm kind of playing with all my receivers and tight ends. I wish I had a better running back core.
Somebody like a Saquon?
Yeah, now I regret not reaching out to Wakanda.
I'm shocked that more people have not reached out to try to bend him over the coals while he was there, just seeing how many inches he's willing to take. All right, so you got Prater against Green Bay and then Washington defense for the Monkeys. What is your? So are you going to go with Matt Ryan? It looks like this week. Is Jameis getting the bench after?
Yeah, Jameson's hitting the bench.
All right.
He's Are they playing? Who are they playing? Carolina in London? Yeah, that's probably. I mean, who knows? I never know with those London games. They're tough. But
I didn't think Jameis would score 55 against the Rams, and that happened on the road. So
yeah,
I'm hoping that happens again.
So Smith-Schuster, who I actually think he's been doing better with the third round backup quarterback. Like, what are they, three injuries deep? They're almost like Wakanda. Because that second guy was terrible. third guy at least was able to pass it a little bit, so he might be okay. And he's playing the Chargers on the Sunday night game. Then Marvin Jones Jr., as you just alluded to, playing on Monday night. Dalvin Cook versus Philadelphia. James White against the Giants tomorrow night. Disley at Cleveland, and Landry in your flex versus Seattle. Ooh, that's a little bit of a tough matchup. So now the current projection is 135 to 120 in favor of Hackettstown. I don't know. What are your thoughts about this game? Well, I guess we could go with the neutral parties first, and then the other two can. I mean, well, Monkeys, you you said you felt like you might lose this week anyway.
Yeah, I do. I had that sense from the get-go, so I felt like this. If this trade was going to happen, it might as well be in a week. I'm going to lose anyway.
Interesting. So you think even with Cup, this would have been a tough matchup?
Yeah, I think so.
Manny,
Rodgers, Hopkins, Gurley, Kelsey. It's just nasty.
I agree that it's nasty, but not in the way that you mean it. I mean, Rodgers has not been that good. Neither is Hopkins. Who else did you say? Gurley? I don't even know if he's going to play. Kelsey, he's been average. I don't know. And then the Gallup poll that we took says he's what is he rank? You know, did he take 2 weeks off? Is that what happened there? He's rested and refreshed for the Jets.
He scored Gallup. He scored 24 points this last game.
Okay. Well, all right. And then Matt Ryan, he's been good.
Well, yeah, I mean last week was quite the performance.
And he plays Arizona this week, which I'm nervous about because Arizona has a crappy defense.
Yeah.
I think Dalvin Cook also plays at home against Philly. I mean, I'm a little bit worried there. I think James White is due for a big game. Giants at home, I think they can put up a ton of points. I think Belichick has been pissed at how bad that offense has been, so I think they're going to pick it up. Landry has a tough matchup. I mean, I'm a little bit worried about White, Cook, and Ryan this week for sure. And I'm worried about my running backs. I think Melvin Gordon will have he might have more touches this week, and Gurley might be hurt. So I do think you have a chance.
Yeah, that's somebody that you should have tried to get rid of. Eckler for here you go, Hockey. Here's some Eckler. How about that, Inches?
Some Eckler action.
That's a nice deep 8-incher right there.
8 speed.
I mean, Smith-Schuster. I mean, what are your feelings about him? I mean, he was touted to be great, and then they don't have like anybody who could throw the ball over there. But he still has managed.
He's done well.
I know
he's done well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, listen, he hasn't been an all-star, but 18 points, that's not bad. 18 and a half.
Yeah, it's not bad. And you aren't you getting Rashad Penny back also? You're going to have like
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be back now, yeah.
He didn't do much, but wait for another fumble from Chris Carson, and I'm sure he'll be back in the lineup, giving you an even. I mean, you're gonna have such a running back lineup. Yikes! I almost don't even need those other guys, or that other guy. that as we all acknowledge is gonna that's as we all acknowledge is gonna go down with an injury this week. Probably. I feel bad.
Oh, I mean that's the thing about him. The first reception he gets, he's gonna get clobbered and go down. It's over.
I feel like you and Geza have all the running backs in the league now. I mean, it's crazy. You guys have all the good running backs.
Oh my goodness.
And McCaffrey. I guess I can. The three of you.
I mean, he's fine. I mean, he wasn't insulted by your remark initially. He was on the plane, busy eating some caviar on the way to London. It's okay. He doesn't care. He's not insulted at all. Getting 47 points, I think, last week.
Who, McCaffrey?
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, who has McCaffrey?
I mean, the 1603ers do. I
Oh, you have. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
He's all right. okay.
Is there anyone you would trade in a package for McCaffrey right now?
No.
There's no one.
I mean, I might consider if somebody could put together a, some kind of trade for Kamara, Saquon, Jesus. And,
Jesus.
And I don't know, the ghost of Muhammad Ali, like in his prime, perhaps. I don't know. No, I'm not considering anybody for McCaffrey or any of them. I have.
What about? Hold on, I've got a great proposal for you.
Sure.
What about Saquon Barkley and Greg Olsen?
They sound great. Can you throw in a David Montgomery?
No, but what about? Oh God, who did he propose?
Chris Godwin.
Wait, no.
Godwin is actually.
Hold on, he was going to throw in Deshaun Jackson.
That's nice of him. He's just trying to unload roster space at this point. Here, he's trying to give you their health insurance bills. Here, you take their bills. He hasn't reached. He's already surpassed his out-of-pocket maximum for the year. Yeah, no. My team, we're not looking for any trades. There's just too much weed here. As you said, John, we used to have what did your friend say that one time?
Yeah, well, he was talking about going to a party, and he said that. Oh God, what was it? He said, nobody ever got. I walked into this party and it was just everywhere. But I was like, well, that's cool with me because you'll never hear someone say, oh, there's I gotta leave. There's just too much weed here. There's just too much weed.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the 1603s right now. There's just too much weed here. I don't know what to do. So, all right.
What's crazy is that you were so worried going into the game. You thought it was a bad week for you.
I'm Jewish. I worry about everything. I'm even more worried because I didn't even realize. I thought Yom Kippur was today, not yesterday. I was gonna fast, and then it was pointed out to me that it happened yesterday, and I was like, well, I did not follow on that one. So, God might be pissed at me this week. I mean, I don't believe in any of that stuff, but you reserve it for things like fantasy football. For real life events, not so much, but for fantasy football, I don't want them to take it out on that. That's easy.
Yeah, I mean, now would have been the time to hedge your bet.
I know. I wanted to pay homage to him. I'm sorry, Your Highness, or whatever you call yourself.
You could make up for it by just fasting on another day. Show him you really mean it.
Does that count though? I don't think so.
Listen, I think he's probably a lawyer. There was no mens rea. You didn't know.
That's true.
And therefore you're making up for it.
That's true. Where do you think he got his law degree? Liberty University?
Probably the Larry H. Layton School of Law.
Yeah, he might have. Only the finest graduates go there. The Rudy Giuliani School of Law.
No, he probably got it from the University of American Samoa.
Oh yes, one of the many graduates from there. He was in Saul Goodman's class.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Saul Goodman. Speaking of fake Jews, Saul Goodman.
There you go. It's all good, man. All right. So, do you want to stay on for any of the rest of this, or would you like to depart ways right now until we have you on for like a full interview or something?
Oh well,
Not
after I take a huge loss this weekend, I'm happy to come back on and drown in my sorrows.
Okay. Well, once again, congratulations on your win and your shiny new Barkley. Take her.
He'll look great on my shelf, not getting any use.
Yes, but you have the cook, so you'll be okay. You could feast on the cook.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Well, thank you, everybody.
All right. Talk
All right, take care.
But
All right. All right. Well, let's go. So we were kind of out of order, but I guess let's go into the transactions here. Any notable? I mean, there was. I don't know. I didn't even pay. I actually was not circling like the normal vulture that I am. I was fast asleep last night. What happened? I didn't.
Well, Dr. Hockey had a fire sale with dumped half his team into the ocean where hungry sharks were waiting.
How many people picked up his sharks? So let's see. Adrian Peterson was actually bid on. That's an interesting move by the Whalers for $6. I guess he thinks that Gruden is going to turn that offense around.
Gruden's been fired, so the Gruden.
I mean that's what I meant. That now that he's fired, that the new coach is going to turn that around. It's like getting rid of Wade Phillips and then suddenly thinking that Doug Flutie has some value. You picked up Prater. Interesting. $3 for a kicker. Wow, that's bold.
Yep.
Wow, Zamunda, the House Cats. They're spending $2 on Zay Jones there, dropping Burkhead. Vance McDonald picked up at the McDonald's dollar menu for John Ross, who's out. You and I, we picked up some tight ends this week, you and I, Geese. Oh, and you also picked up the thrown over scraps of Kareem Hunt, which is actually a smart move, being that you have Chubb.
90 running backs.
You do have 90 running backs, but in addition to that, in case he cuts into any of Chubb's numbers, you at least have that little insurance policy there waiting around. So, yeah, then the trade, and then I'm sure. I guess you guys have been negotiating. In fact, you're bogged. You're annoyed with this podcast because you can't even get to your trading. I'm interrupting your trading, so let's move the program along. I mean, all right. Well, let's take a look at the standings first. So the Whalers actually move into first place, and Hackettstown's Finest. Look at you, moved up into second place.
Yes,
congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Beating your opponent, the St. Louis Blues, and having more points than him, than the 1603ers at 3-2. At the top of that list, and every other list that involves points, I think we have 100 more points than the next closest team, which is the Finest. We have about 250 more points than Zamunda. Not bad. Okay. Tillett, our guest this week, got 657. Or has 657, is in fifth, and then rounding out the playoffs, still hanging on, still clinging to a playoff spot at this point at 2-3. The Wakanda Panthers somehow having the most points out of the 2 and 3 teams. So, but there's a bunch of others they're waiting there, and then you have the 1 and 4 bracket, which is Dave Secret Crush, Nick and Jamie, and the Zamunda Lions. I honestly think that the Crush are the only team that could claw their way out of there. I mean, we've already talked about how Zamunda has been declawed. And the Garbage Barge, I don't know. Unless they convert one of those engines and put some Chinese oil grease that's left over from the restaurant to run that thing, I think that's going to hit an iceberg pretty soon. All right. That's your current standings.
Yeah.
All right, so we already went over the first game. What other games would we like to focus on now? I mean, I guess we could focus on the other half of that trade.
Yeah, we could. We could go into the Wakanda Panthers matchup.
Yeah, I know. So they picked them up some Minshew magic.
I don't understand. Dr. Hockey's desperate for roster space, so he packs 3 quarterbacks onto his roster.
I don't understand either. So, yeah, he didn't get rid of Dalton. He didn't get rid of Jones. He
packing on the pound, so to speak.
Like what? Like what are you doing?
4 quarterbacks.
I mean,
Breeze is on IR.
Yeah, 4. He's almost reaching the limit of quarterbacks that he can have. Yeah, that's not even counting. Like, what is he gonna? I don't understand. That's like getting shot and worrying about your telephone bill at this time. Like, let's focus on what matters here. You can't even feel the team. So, I mean, first of all, prior to Cup coming on, I don't even know if he could feel the team. So, Minshew Magic versus New Orleans, Cup now versus San Francisco on Sunday, Devontae Adams on the Monday night game. Now, this has some problems because Devontae Adams still listed as questionable. And if he doesn't go on Monday night, he's kind of screwed.
He should have traded for Valdez Scantling or something like that.
I know, just something. You should just, like. I mean, if your whole thing is just try to field the team. I mean, I don't know. Or why don't you go after Jameis Winston too? I think there's more space for a quarterback on this team. Holy crap! I guess he figures like the quarterback. Well, no, that's not even true. I was gonna say maybe he thinks that the quarterbacks are the ones who aren't getting injured, but no, he's had that too. I don't know. All right. Mark Ingram, one of his few healthy players, going against Cincinnati. Sony Michel is playing on the Thursday night against the Giants. Greg Olson, his only tight end left, so he can no longer run the jumbo package now they got rid of Disley. His flex is empty. Does he have any?
I was just looking down the roster. You can put you can run a hyper quarterback league. 2 QBs. He has Ito Smith or Hillman from the Giants. Does that scare you as a flex play?
No.
No.
The Wakandan coach must have a concussion or something. I don't know what his strategy is, or maybe he'll have some master stroke between now and Sunday. This is such a bizarre way to go about not being able to field the team.
I mean,
Can't field the team.
Why is Dorsett? Why are you holding on to Dorsett? Drop him.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think the Sharks are really like, I got to get me some Dorsett. You're dropping Kareem Hunt so that you can pick up another quarterback? How much did he spend on Minshew Magic?
I bid $10 on him and he beat me out. He spent 25.
He spent 25 on a quarterback when everything else is in the infirmary? I mean, what did you get, a refund check from the insurance company? I mean, what's going on? I don't understand any of this. This is...
I mean, if I was him, I would have held on to Saquon because that's really the only saving grace. It's not like he's out for the season with a torn ACL. He's coming back. You know, I know he did get Cooper Kupp, but, I mean, his running backs are just not very good.
I mean, are you really downplaying Ito Smith like that? Come on, man. I mean, Ito Smith has gotten 11 and 12.4 the last couple games. I don't know.
I think that's his only option for a flex. Hilliman, I haven't even heard of that guy.
I mean, Watkins, has he gone through triage yet? Let's see. Hamstring did not play Wednesday, so he's probably not. I mean, but at least he has a quarterback. At least he's keeping his eye on the prize. Why are you even keeping Dalton? I mean, is there really that much demand for Dalton? Or Daniel Jones? Maybe Daniel Jones because of this, this league has a bunch of Giants fans. But, I mean, Andy Dalton? Really? You got to hold on to that? Eating up valuable roster space? I mean, in the paddy wagon here, there just doesn't seem to be room for that.
And in your matchup this week, I think his best player, which is Cooper Kupp, I mean, he has a tough matchup against San Francisco. Their defense is actually really good.
Yeah.
They get to the quarterback. Bosa gets to the quarterback pretty easily. So I like your chances here.
Oh, I like my chances too. I would have been better if he did, if he was still going with Saquon and couldn't field, literally could. I would have preferred, I'm the one team in the league that actually would have preferred the short-term pain for him because, I'm only playing him this week. Of course, I'd rather him not have a player. But okay, so for the 1603ers, Lamar Jackson versus Cincinnati, that should be a good game for him. I mean, here's my problem. I have so many problems. Okay. I almost don't want to play McCaffrey this week. He's in London at Tampa Bay. Well, whatever. Versus considered at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was the only team that really shut him down this season. And they have a good run defense. I mean, he only got 7.3 points, if you remember, in week 2, which actually is what cost me the game against Hackettstown's finest. So I'm kind of worried about playing him. You never know what happens in these London games, so that makes me nervous. I have DJ Moore at Tampa Bay. Now, the Tampa Bay secondary is atrocious. So I kind of want to play him there, but I don't know. You have Will Fuller, who's playing against Kansas City in what could be a shootout, but, I don't know. I mean, the Kansas City defense, I mean, they're not good, but they're not good against the run, and they might just run all game because they were so bad if you saw what happened last week. But how do you sit Will Fuller after that performance last week? He's going to start Stefan Diggsing it in my ear if I don't play this guy. Carry on luggage on Monday night. Obviously, I'm going to play him against Green Bay because we saw what Jordan Howard did against that Green Bay team. A Swaim at the tight end. I needed to pick up somebody. And, I don't know. O'Shaughnessy was getting about 9 points a game over there with some Minshew magic. So I guess his tight end can throw to me this week. I mean, whatever. So, but O'Shaughnessy got injured. He's out for the season. So this guy, I guess, is next man down. And then I don't know what to do. So then Sly and Dallas. And then the flex, I'm still not even sure what to do there. So right now I have Breda. I still also have the option for Christian Kirk. If he can go, if he's healthy, how do I not play him against Atlanta? You saw what Atlanta did last week with Will Fuller. I mean, who would you play? Would you play Christian Kirk or Breda? Breda got 30.
Well, right now with Kirk's questionable status, you obviously lean towards Breda.
Right. I mean, we'll have to wait to see. I'm just saying if he was healthy. I don't even know. And by the way, Tyler Boyd, who quietly got 28 points last week, he's not even being considered this week.
Yeah, at Baltimore, I think the Rams and the Falcons are worse defenses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not considering. I mean, Boyd has been fine. I mean, because there's nobody else there for them to throw to. I mean, there's that Odwin Tate or whatever the guy's name is. I don't even remember. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, look, I never pick myself, so obviously I'm going to pick the Wakanda Panthers here.
I think the Jets defense will have a good day. I mean, the Dallas defense, the Jets offense is so bad.
Oh, I know. Although they are getting Sam Darnold back, so I mean, one nice hit to the spleen. I'm surprised hockey hasn't picked him up. Bid $50 on him. He could use a fifth quarterback. Yeah. So predictions on this game, gentlemen.
1603ers all over Wakanda.
All over. The only way Wakanda has a chance is if New England goes for 39 points again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I've lost to less. We are the team that seems to snooze on the I can't tell you how many times I've been in a game where it's like we should blow these guys out. They shouldn't even be in the conversation, and we lose. So I'm still not picking us.
I mean, the only weakness, Jeff Swaim's 1.4 points last week doesn't necessarily do it for me, but you needed somebody. You needed a body.
And the other guy got injured. The guy who was the main guy. O'Shaughnessy.
Okay.
I don't know. Sorry. I mean, I could have gotten Jared Cook, but I chose not to. Whatever. Yeah. But also, Minshew Magic will be thrown to him, so hopefully you can have some benefit there. All right, let's move on to the next game. Where would we like to go now?
Well, let's see. We've already done the Monkey's Finest, 1603 Wakanda. All right, let's stay in Hackettstown as the garbage barge makes yet another stinky appearance.
The last time they were in Hackettstown, they came up victorious. So.
Oh yeah, this is their one win.
Yes, this is their stomping ground. So
yeah, I mean, they do really well in Hackettstown Harbor.
Yeah, it must be a lot of syringes from the pharmacy.
All right, so let's look at the garbage barge. Carson Wentz at Minnesota. T.Y. Hilton, no game. I'm sure he'll do well in that matchup versus no game. On Jeffrey at Minnesota. Wow, very Minnesota heavy. Marlon Mack, no game. I'm sure he's going to do well there too. I mean, that Hilton Mack combo meal. Not playing this week. They look fantastic. Derrick Henry at Denver. Delaney Walker at Denver as well. Oh my God!
Are all their players playing in 2 games?
I think they have 2 of each. Is that true? They have 2 Eagles. They have 2 Colts. They have 2 Titans. He's playing Devonta Freeman, the running back for. They're playing in Arizona. I mean, Freeman hasn't actually been that bad. And then Lambeau in Arizona. I guess he plays Ridley or Galladay. Duke Johnson. I mean, he's got to play Duke Johnson at Kansas City, which is actually not that bad a play if he were to do that, because we saw what Mac did against Kansas City. He could have he could have a running back going against Kansas City 2 weeks in a row.
The problem is the Texans also have Carlos Hyde, who's their starting back.
I mean, there's plenty of problems. We're not. I mean, I'm
one of the many problems.
I think you definitely play Ridley against Arizona.
Do you though? Galladay's pretty hot.
Ah, man. I don't know. Well, actually, why don't you just maybe they move Devonta Freeman up to the RB1 slot, and then play Ridley and Galladay. Play one of them in the flex.
That's a possibility.
I mean, there's things you could do here. I don't know. For Hackettstown, Bridgewater playing this week. That's interesting. What do you call Philip?
Well, you
Rivers?
asked what the aftermath was of last week's performance, and Philip Rivers with his whole 6 points has been shown the door.
So ironically, you go out and get the guy that cost you the game against the Monkeys. Or no,
Yes.
against the Lightning Rods.
Against the Lightning Rods, yes. Welcome, asshole Bridgewater. Luckily, I forgot about that as I was going up to pick quarterbacks. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten.
I mean,
As a matter of fact, after this podcast, Teddy Bridgewater might be available. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, Teddy Bridgewater and Philip Rivers will be picked up by Wakanda.
Probably.
I mean, they need backup quarterbacks. I mean, that's a strategy, I guess. Just hoard and monopolize all of the quarterbacks in case anybody needs a quarterback for their bye week, and then just go, oh yeah, you want a quarterback this week? Give me a live player. It's war, gentlemen. It's war. All right. So, Larry Fitzgerald versus Atlanta. I mean, he's going to have a fantastic game. Mohamed Sanu against Arizona. Also going to have a good game there. Le'Veon Bell versus Dallas. I mean, it doesn't matter. Le'Veon Bell does well, even though their team is atrocious. Nick Chubb versus Seattle. That's kind of a tough matchup. Jared Cook at Jacksonville. I mean, I passed on him, but he should do. I think he should do about his projection, 6.3 points. Drake's Cakes making an appearance versus Washington, and then lots in the Pittsburgh defense. So you're sitting Chris Thompson. That's interesting. You're going with the other half of it there.
Well, I might just. Well, we'll see. It's not finalized yet. There could be people thrown off this roster before the end of the podcast.
That's true. So right now the current projection is 111 to 88. Now, granted, I think that if Nick and Jamie make the adjustments, their projection can certainly go higher. I think that this is a potential trap game. I think that they could win this, but I don't think that they will. I think that your wide receivers are going to be good enough, and you only need to be so good. But it would be very interesting if they could just handle their business over there in Hackettstown Harbor. Maybe it's the start of a new cruise line. They're they start off their voyages in Hackettstown. Maybe they cleaned out the trash. But I'm still going with Hackettstown.
Yeah, I'm going with myself as well.
Yeah, I'd have to say so.
Yeah. All right. So moving on a little bit further. Let's see, what else do we have? We have.
How about the 1 point winner versus the 1 point loser?
Ooh, that'll
Lightning Rods versus Dave's Secret Crush.
That's a good game. All right, so right now the current projection is 125.16 in favor of the Lightning Rods over the Dave's Secret Crush with 118.63. So for the Lightning Rods, Russell Wilson going against Cleveland, Robert Woods versus San Francisco, Diggs versus Philadelphia, Elliott at the Jets, Lindsey versus Tennessee, Font versus Tennessee, Edelman versus the Giants, so he's locking up his flex early. Always a cardinal mistake, but whatever. Butker, and then the Denver defense. He has Robbie Anderson on the bench. And other than that, not much else. I mean, the Bears are on... Ooh, that's bad. The Bears defense, finally, is one of his better players, is out for this game. So, and then for Dave's secret crush, Kirk Cousins versus Philadelphia. Trying to get twofers from him and Thielen versus Philadelphia. Amari Cooper at the Jets. Ooh, that's a good matchup. Chris Carson at Cleveland. Miles Sanders at Minnesota. Jason Witten at the Jets. He's finally, thank Godwin, he's finally playing Godwin. He has benched Mike Evans. Way to go, buddy. Although Godwin is listed as questionable, that would be ironic. What's the questionable tag? I'm trying to... They don't even mention it. Oh, he had a hip. That would be so ironic and hilarious. Myers in the Minnesota defense. I think that Dave's secret crush can win this game. I think that their receivers have. I think Cousins can get some twofers out of him and Thielen. I think Amari Cooper against the Jets might go bananas. And he's actually playing Godwin. And Lightning Rods has some tough matchups, and they don't have the Bears defense. And they've locked up their flex. I mean, Elliott's playing at the Jets. I mean, there should be some points there. I mean, he's got the other receiver in Minnesota, but, you know, we've seen what's happened between the split between the two of them. I think they looked over to him. What was his... like last week, didn't they like throw him the first one? And they're like, yeah, sit down. 7.4 points last week. I don't know. I mean, if he does throw to Diggs and gets a touchdown there, I mean, Eugene still gets some points off of it. I think Eugene actually wins this game.
I like Eugene in this one. Actually, I don't see how Eugene could lose this one.
Wow, bold.
I do. I'm just looking across the board. It's quite interesting.
I still pick the Lightning Rods. I think Wilson has had a great year. I think with Cooks being injured, I think Woods might have a great game. I mean, between Woods and Cup, we don't know who's going to do better. But Woods might be great. I think Elliott is going to have a great game, run all over the Jets. I think Edelman also might have a good game against the Giants. I mean, what's his questionable tag?
It's probably still the same chest thing.
Chest, yeah. I mean, I think it's a very close game. I think there are a lot of favorable matchups in this game. A lot of the players have favorable matchups. Edelman against the Giants. I think even Lindsey against Tennessee. Elliott, all the Cowboys against the Jets. So, I think this might be the closest match of the week.
Interesting. I actually think Eugene just takes it. I look, I've been saying for a while, this is why that Monkeys loss by 1 point last week was so huge. Because I mean, Eugene has a fairly weak schedule coming up, and he can actually make somewhat of a run. That you know, had he not lost last week, he could have really been one of the top contender if he runs the table like he should. And this is one of the tougher teams that he's got to face. And if he has matchup advantages, this could be a huge win for him. This is a big week for Eugene's team, and for the Lightning Rods as well. I mean, they played really well last week. They just, you know, yeah. I mean, they didn't deserve the biggest blowout of the week tag. I mean, let's just say they played really well.
Until week 10, he really has the weakest schedule in the league.
Eugene?
Yes.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
He plays Wakanda, then he plays Nick and Jamie, and then he plays the Zamunda Lions. I mean, those are the three weakest teams.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
so if he wins these 3 games, he can be 4-4.
Exactly. I'm telling you, don't count him out yet. And he could have been 5 and 3 had he won last week. That 1 point could come back to haunt him.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's really, you know, interesting to say again, you know, about the 10th place team, the team that was almost languishing in last place for a while, but yeah, he could actually make a run here. I would not sleep on Dave's secret crush, and I'm picking him this week. Does that leave us with our last game? Oh no, there's 2 more games. Sorry, let's go with the Zamunda House Cats versus Tilla Trade Team. So. Right now, the projection is 125.85 to 125.61, barely in favor in Zamunda. So he's got Prescott against the Jets. I think, oof, that's going to be tough. But and then he's got Sanders versus Tennessee. Tate, this is the Odwin Tate or whatever at Baltimore. I don't know, whatever. Kamara at Jacksonville. James Conner at the Chargers. Kittle at the Rams. Melvin Gordon, yeeks, playing in his flex. Don't play your guys in the flex when they play on Thursday night. And then Nugent, the kicker, against New England on Thursday night, and the New Orleans defense. On the bench, nobody. Okay. So I guess why not? It doesn't matter. You can't really substitute anybody in there. For the Tilt Tray team, Tom Brady versus the Giants on Thursday night. Julio Jones at Arizona. He should hopefully have a good game there. Mike Williams, I'm assuming, one of the many Williams, versus Pittsburgh on the Sunday night game. David Johnson versus Atlanta. Leonard Fournette at New Orleans versus New Orleans. He finally gets to play Herndon, who is questionable, versus Dallas. Chark in the flex versus New Orleans, and then Zerline in Jacksonville. The interesting. I'm picking Tillett Trey, but the interesting thing is that you look at this Zamunda team. They don't seem that atrocious. I mean, they are record wise and everything else, but at the beginning of the season, if you would have told me that these were going to be the players, those are not bad names.
Is this a trap game, you think, for Tillett Trey? Or are the Lions pretty much still clawless?
That Josh Gordon. What is Josh Gordon? What's going on with Josh Gordon? Has he done it? I guess Dorsett's injured. If Dorsett has, if Gordon has a good game on Thursday, then I think Tillett might consider themselves in trouble. But it would be a trap game. Because Tillett should beat him. But I don't know.
Herndon finally gets the start, but I don't know if anybody on the Jets besides Le'Veon Bell is who you wanted to have waited for to come off of suspension. I would have just thrown Herndon out, period.
He needs a safety blanket when, 10 linebackers are in the backfield right on the snap. You do need somebody to dump it off to. Herndon's not a bad safety valve.
What happened to McLaurin? He just disappeared after a hot start. I don't know what's going on here.
I don't know.
What happened to Emmanuel Sanders? After the first two games, he was amazing.
He's back and forth. McLaurin, actually, he should play him against Miami. Go do that.
Yeah.
Instead of Mike Williams, really, what has Mike Williams done for you lately? He's been okay.
Yeah.
But he's playing Pittsburgh. I don't know. I guess they have a new who knows? I still am picking Tillett Trey, but it could be a potential trap game.
And this is a pretty close game too. Prescott will put up a lot of points. I think Kamara might have a big game. Yeah, Brady, that's true. Good point.
I don't know.
Yeah. The Chargers haven't been really good. I think Connor might put up some points. They're going to run the ball a lot with that third-string quarterback.
Yeah.
Or do like Dave saw, the triple reverse flea flicker screen pass.
Yeah, they're ridiculously gimmicky. It could go to one of their. Who knows? I am picking Tillett, but I do think that Zamunda could pull off a win here, and that would be gigantic if that happens. If both Eugene and Nikki Baby win, we might have ourselves a season down there at the bottom. Because who's the other? Nick and Jamie. They're playing you. Yeah, they're not winning. So they could go into sole possession of last place, the garbage board, or they could party it up in Hackettstown Harbor.
Yeah, we can all be 2-4. Let's all get down.
All right, so anybody want to go on record picking the Zamunda Lions?
No, I'm going with Teletree.
No, I'm going with Teletree.
Nobody can do it. All right. Okay, and that leaves us with the final game. This is a gigantic game. Manny, you ruined it a little bit for the for the league by beating the St. Louis Blues last week, because it could have been the two undefeated teams at 5-0, but no, this is either where Whalers just asserts his dominance, or the Blues drag him down and then actually give the Hackettstown's finest an opportunity to move into first place. Okay. So in this game, Mahomes is going versus Houston, Beckham versus Seattle, Allen versus Pittsburgh, Aaron Jones versus Detroit, Carlos Hyde at Kansas City, Andrews, the tight end, versus Cincinnati, Melvin Gordon versus Pittsburgh, Bryant and the Baltimore defense for the Blues. And then for the Whalers, he has Deshaun Watson Yayos at Kansas City, Tyler Lockett at Cleveland, Michael Thomas at Jacksonville, Mixon at Baltimore, D. Williams versus Houston. I don't know which Williams. The Kansas City. I don't even know which one of these Williams. Just call him Scott Williams at this point. Damian Williams. Okay. Ertz at Minnesota. Brandon Cooks. Is he still in the concussion protocol? I don't even think he's playing. Tucker and then Carolina. But he could. I mean, it's his flex. He could put in LaShawn McCoy. He could put in Royce Freeman, I guess. His newly acquired Adrian Peterson. Jalen Samuels is out. The guy that he just paid. How much did he pay for? 65. Knee out for at least a month. Way to invest in that. I mean, that seems, when you pay over $60, expect a knee injury, because Hawkinson had one of those too. I mean, do you even hold on to Samuels at this point? Just get. Oh, we put him on IR. All right. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, should we refer to the statement or not? Or can we actually talk about the game?
Oh yeah, that's right. We're not supposed to.
I think contractually we're barred from discussing anything about the Whalers, so maybe we should just focus on the Blues.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, I will once again.
You announced fact, right? So far, we're fact. We just announced the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Well within our contractual limits.
Yes. For immediate release, the Mighty Whalers are declining all interview requests from the fake news media who week in and week out have disparaged the team, its coaches, management, and players while the current winning streak remains intact. Please feel free to contact our PR department if and when the streak is broken for our availability at that time. Thank you, and long live the whale.
So far, we haven't made any disparaging remarks, right? We'll go down the checklist. We've stated fact, right?
Yes.
We've announced the starting lineup
Mm-hmm.
as it appears to us.
Yes.
We haven't made any disparaging remarks. We're well within our boundaries, so I think we could just walk away from the Whalers safely at this point and just talk about Lombardi.
Yes. So, how well is Lombardi going to do this week against the team they're playing?
Against the team. Hereto has to be referred to as the team.
Yes.
Lombardi, I mean, Beckham has struggled mightily the last 2 weeks. So,
and it's against Seattle, who has a tough defense.
Mahomie, I'm surprised he's not listed as questionable with his little injury against the Colts. I guess he's recovered, but has the team recovered from getting it run up the middle on them? That's the concern.
I feel like every drive they don't score a touchdown, he comes up limping. And then he goes back for the next series. I mean, and then he runs for like a 20-yard first down. I don't really understand Mahomes.
What has happened to the red-hot Keenan Allen, too? I mean, he was ready for the Pro Bowl. Something has happened the last 2 weeks in this league.
Yeah, for 9.8 2 weeks ago against Miami, and then 5.8 against Denver. Ouch. I mean, look, his quarterback. I mean, his running backs are in a good position. Aaron Jones versus Detroit on Monday night.
I'll have a big game, yep.
And Carlos Hyde, we just mentioned him, and the fact that the Kansas City running defense has been exposed, and Carlos Hyde could take advantage of it. So, I think that he. I mean, we won't talk about the other team's players and how they might do, but he might, whoever that other team is, might have slightly of advantage at that running back position against his unnamed opponent.
Yes.
I think his wide receivers might do poorly against a team that he might play this week.
Yeah. Refer to the website.
Oh.
Refer to the matchup section of the website for further details.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that the two quarterbacks are playing each other, so that might neutralize itself slightly. Right. Andrews, the tight end is playing one of the
one of the tight ends in the league.
Philadelphia, yeah, he's playing one of the tight ends in the league.
On a team in our league.
Yeah, playing at Minnesota.
Yes.
But let's focus on Andrews, who we're allowed to discuss. He's questionable, but he's been good, and he could have a bounce back game against Cincinnati.
The opposing tight end's number is number 86, if that helps the rest of the league.
Yeah. I mean, it irks me not to be able to talk about him and who he is, but you can try to figure out who it is. We can't talk about what the Whalers is cooking up in his flex position, but Melvin Gordon is in the flex for the Blues.
That Mother Tucker. I'm sorry, that might be considered disparaging. I'm sorry. So.
No, you were just editing yourself. You were saying something worse.
I was, yes. Actually, I saved myself.
Yeah, you were just you didn't want to use the F word, so you just substitute it with a T word.
Right.
And then there are two states, that are in this union, that a north and a southern state that has good barbecue. And a Neil Diamond song that's sung at Red Sox games in their defense there, that might be playing for the opposing team. I don't know. I mean, they could be playing not within the jurisdiction of the United States of America.
It's so much easier if we could just actually talk about the team next week. So maybe,
Yeah,
hopefully
maybe
Lombardi wins this.
Exactly. So then we can contact the PR office. So right now the projection is 134 for the Blues. And beep for the beep. Okay. So I am only allowed to really talk about one team, so I guess I have to pick them. Though I gotta be honest. I don't know. So are you picking the Blues to win or lose?
I'm picking the Blues to play a team this week.
Yeah, they are. Yes, they are playing a team.
They are playing a team.
They are.
Whew, are we allowed to? Are we allowed to pick? We'll have to wait on that one.
I mean, well, we're just picking whether or not you think that the Blues will win or lose. I'm not saying what the opponent is going to do.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I won't reference the opponent and what they might do. I wouldn't do that.
Oh, right.
I'm not part of the fake news media. I'm just focusing on St. Louis and what they're going to do this week.
Right.
Do you think St. Louis comes out of this game with a win, or do you think that they come out with a loss? That's all.
I think that St. Louis has a matchup this week, is what I think.
So you're not even going there. I think that St. Louis might come out with a loss.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think you know what? I just think that I definitely agree that they have a matchup this week.
Yeah, I think that their wide receivers might not do that well this week.
Right.
I'm not going to talk about their matchup with the other team that they're playing, but I will say I don't know if their wide receivers do that well. Their running backs will do well.
Right.
I also, they do have a running back. I can't use the word advantage, but that thing after deuce in tennis. I might give it.
Right.
Actually, maybe the Blues might win.
Oh,
the Blues might win.
Well, I fear the repercussions of that statement, but I'm just gonna air with the Blues have a matchup this week for sure on their hands.
Well, I can't. I mean, it's very. I mean, I have one team tied behind my back. Ooh. I hear Michael Thomas is a good receiver. I wonder what team he's on. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Manny, would you like to venture a thought about what the Blues will be doing this week?
I think the Blues will have a decent game. I think Aaron Jones will do well. I think Keenan Allen will do well as well. I think Odell will have a tough matchup. I think Mahomes will have a bounce back game. So yeah, I think I'll pick them to win against. No.
So you're gonna pick them to take a W this week? Okay.
Yeah, the Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel bad for the team that they're playing. That or I feel bad for us if that team were to win and we have to listen to them talk about how they weren't picked. But I mean, we can't pick them, even if we were going to pick them.
We're contractually not even allowed to weigh in.
Yeah, we're just weighing in on Lombardi's team, who we are allowed to comment on.
Exactly.
And Ty goes to the organization that lets us talk about them. All right, so I think that covers all the games. What is your lock of the week, gentlemen? Oh man, if I ever was willing to comment on my own games, I might consider saying something, but I'm not going
to. Massacre. It's not just lock of the week. The massacre of the week. 1603ers over the Wakanda Panthers.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean,
upset of the week is Dave's Secret Crush over the Lightning Rods.
That would be technically qualify as an upset. So yes, I am actually in agreement with you on the upset of the week. For the lock of the week, since I don't comment on
Harbeck, and come on, you're the obvious is the Wakanda quarterback team.
No. I would never do such a thing. I mean, look, the Monkeys have already conceded this game. I have to pick Hackettstown's Finest as the lock of the week. They're not even. You heard their coach himself on this program conceding that he doesn't even think that he's going to win.
He thinks it's a rebuilding week.
And look, we know what happens when coaches are on this show and say that they don't think that they're going to win this week. So I guess the Monkeys might get 200 or even 300 points.
That's you. You scored 210 points when you thought you wouldn't win.
I didn't say I'm good at predicting. I live in Los Angeles. We don't even predict the weather out here. It's always sunny, whatever. Yeah, I'll pick the Finest as the lock of the week.
Okay.
And yes, I will go with you as David Tree's Secret Crush as the technical upset of the week, even though I don't actually think that is an upset. So yeah. All right. Well, I will let you guys get back to your trade negotiations because I know you have
We do have a lot to discuss.
Right. I mean, I could barely even weigh in on the unlocking your game. What if this is a rebuilding week for the finest? I mean, who knows? All this could be out the window. I have no idea. All right. Well, I guess that will do it. So first of all, I would like to thank our interviewee of the week, Jim Siobhan, coach of the Tillett trade team. Thanks for taking up your time for coming on here. For listening to Manny try to give you offers. I wonder who he's going to try to rip off next week in the interview segment. So thanks for that.
He's become Shafto Jr.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, I am disappointed that you did not offer Tyreek Hill for Saquon or something, or Eckler, Hill and Eckler for Saquon, and I don't know. I don't even know who else you'd want on that team.
I would have taken Sony Michel with Saquon for those guys. I mean, I regret. I didn't even really think about it.
You're falling behind.
That was bad coaching on my part that I didn't see Wakanda start dropping people.
I know. Well, to quote a famous thing that I said once, I guess you're no Eugene. To paraphrase something that I said. Because, I mean, I know I got in trouble when I said that to Grassi and called him no Lavin, but I mean, Eugene is the best. I'm surprised he didn't pull off the offer either.
Hey, Shafto Jr., he's learning the ropes.
I know. I'm shocked. Way to go, Monkeys, though, by the way. And it wasn't even a shaft. That was like almost, it's like fair. Ugh.
Yep.
I'm disappointed. In the...
He should have put Winston. Jameis instead of Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I know. He loves the quarterback. Yeah, exactly. Just given, I mean, what is the limit? I think it's literally 6. I don't think you could have more than 6 quarterbacks on the team. I don't even know if that counts the IR spot. So whatever. All right. So thank you, Jim Siobhan. Thank you, John Hernandez, for joining us on the program, and thank the two of you as well. Say your goodbyes and let's get out of here.
All right, we'll see you next week.
All right, peace out.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.